This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to call this special or this workshop of the town council to order. First thing we're going to do is talk about the business section on chapter 12.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to make a motion to suspend the formality of Robert's rules to the extent to allow an open dialogue amongst the council members.
okay. Any discussion before we take a vote on that? Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Holder?
Yes.
Keating?
Yes,
Cracklaw?
Yes.
Kinkin?
Yes.
Drake?
Yes.
And I'll be yes too. So we will suspend Robert's rules, and if at any time it comes out of order, then we will go back to Robert's rules. So we're having a discussion now on chapter 12, and who would like to start? Any-
How would you like to start? Are we going to go through it by that, or you want to, what I seen that I would like to change, or what?
well, why don't we step through paragraph by paragraph? My first comment ends up being on the definition of weaponized implement. Do you have anything before that? Okay. My only comments here, one, bats is mentioned twice, so the second occurrence can be deleted.
What page is that, Cindy?
Page 2, very top.
Do we really consider selfie sticks and opaque backpacks as weapons? It seems to me that, you know, enough of our tourists and residents may be bringing selfie sticks to take pictures off of the pier, et cetera. And how is an opaque backpack a weapon? I mean, I would think you'd prefer to have opaque backpacks. You can see through them. So I think those two should be deleted. And, you know, the concept of masks, you know, has been kind of a hot topic lately. Maybe we want to put here, you know, ski masks or full facial covers. But again, is that really a weaponized instrument? That may be an indication of, you know, a miscreant, but I don't see how that's a weapon.
That's true.
Those were my comments to that paragraph.
Well, it says on the mask, it says other than a nose, mouth covering, germ covering masks.
Yeah, I know. But in the real world, when maybe we get out of this nonsense we're in, you know, this is a long-standing legal document. You know, what is it you really mean? Are we talking about full face covered masks, or when we get to the time where we're not wearing, you know, nose, mouth, germ covering masks, would a half face covering mask be considered a quote weapon? How is it a weapon? I don't see that any mask is a weapon.
No.
I want to agree.
Well, it's like you can't wear a mask in a bank.
You can now.
So the three things that was requested to be deleted was bats, the one bat,
Yeah.
Mhm.
delete the opaque backpack,
And selfie stick.
Selfie stick.
selfie stick.
And delete the masks. Not sure what a shield is. Is that the plastic thing goes over your face? Or is that, you know, body armor? What? Again, what I can understand if we're talking like, you know, the Vikings and the arm shields and stuff that could be used as a
A weapon, yeah.
as a weapon, okay? But is that what shield means?
So who is going to be the scribe on this too?
I would assume it's Robert.
I've been taking some notes, crossing out things
Yeah.
that you're mentioning.
I mean, I can give you my notes too, you know. Whatever, Robert has it.
Is there any other conversation or discussion on that before we move on? Is anybody in disagreement with that? Okay, and the next one?
My next comment is on 1221C. And that is just to delete the first phrase, effective with the adoption of this ordinance, since this has been in place for quite some time. This is not a new provision. That is basically just a codification issue with how the original ordinance was drafted.
Any comment on that? All right,
Who enforces this? Because it's not being enforced.
If you remember.
that's a good question. I've seen a lot of stuff and maybe Bill can answer this for us. There's a lot of people that have stuff in the right of way
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Code,
just
well,
just
code
an
enforcement.
example, that guy that has the Biden signs that you
Mhm.
went to go talk to, he's got pylons
Yeah.
sitting in the right of way all the way around his corner.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what we'll have to do. We'll
And-
just have to go through and identify every house that has it and make them all move it.
Well, I can see putting a mailbox,
Yeah.
you have a mailbox,
Right.
because you've got to have a
Yeah,
mailbox in the right
agreed.
of way. But,
Yeah,
the
we'll
other
do that.
stuff,
But there's all kind of stuff in the right of ways. There's stuff in the right of ways, you pull up to the stop sign, you can't even see.
Yeah.
And I've asked for that numerous times, and nothing's ever happened.
It'll go away.
Who enforces that?
Our code enforcement, we will send somebody out and we will identify each one. We'll build some type of graft or so you'll see what we're doing and we'll get it done.
so the answer on that, would it be,
It would come
the
from,
building people that write a thing, or would it
Yeah.
be John or Dare?
it'd be the building people to start off with. We'll do a letter and we'll tell them you've got this amount of time to take it out. And then if they don't take it out, whatever the legal procedures are, we'll take it. Yes, sir.
You know how I've asked about the trees, I mean, the telephone poles, everything growing up the telephone poles,
Mm-hmm.
and the lights, you can't even see them. Well, they're in the right of way.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, there's so much vines and trees and everything growing all over the thing, you can't even see the telephone pole. Much
Well,
less
if the
light.
trees are in the right of way, then the town will trim them.
Well,
Yeah.
the power company should do it.
And we did actually give them a list and I know they're out and about. I don't know if they're doing everything, but I see them out and about cutting.
Well, I'm gonna meet with Santee Cooper next Wednesday when, Santee Cooper comes to town hall to present us the franchise
Yeah.
check. And John Adair and I are gonna be there, and so we'll have a conversation with them about
Yeah.
formulating a list and
Yeah, we could have that
and doing
list
it
and
together.
give
Well,
it
you can
to,
ride, all you gotta do is take your rose colored glasses
Yeah.
off and ride around. I mean, you just look at the poles as you go and you see them. I mean, they're just completely covered.
Well, but again, back to this subject. This is talking about permanent fixtures. Many of the things that you see around town that have like the pilings or, lights or something to preclude people from parking on their grass,
Mhm.
those are not permanent structures.
Agreed.
So this
How about-
talks,
400-pound rock, is that considered a permanent structure?
depends on how many guys you
If
got to
they-
move it.
I'll tell you what,
If they
you couldn't
brought it-
pick up.
Yeah.
pylons.
If they brought it there, then undoubtedly it's not a permanent structure, because someone put it there and put it down. They just have to do whatever they did to get it there to get
Well,
it done.
I'm just cautioning
You can't
you.
be in the right of way.
If you start going out with enforcing the specifics of this to the letter, you're gonna piss off a lot of people because, they don't want people parking on their grass. They pay a lot of money to maintain it. And if the town wants to start coming in and say you can't do that, a lot of people are gonna back up and say, then the town needs to come out here and maintain that piece of grass in the front of my house.
I'd like to have
So
a little history to this.
Don't
It
open a
was-
can of worms.
They did try to enforce it at one point in time. and I think it was only like a week or two, it quit getting enforced. Why? I really don't know. I have my speculation, but I won't add that. But it did get, they were trying to enforce it. It was probably 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
There's a lot of people that have their fence in the right.
Yeah,
Right.
and they all
Well,
come
and
down.
they-
I mean,
and
if
they've
you
been
want us to
fined
do it,
for
I'm gonna do it. But they'll be coming to you guys. I mean, y'all are gonna take that.
Well, and you know, what really has been the determining factor is if what is placed in the right of way, one, can be removed if necessary,
Yes, ma'am.
and two, does it block, you know, vehicular traffic, is it a safety risk? Is it something you can't see around? You know, people plant stuff around their mailboxes. And, you know, there was one on Fifth Avenue. You drive out, you try to make a turn onto Fifth Avenue. Well, you can't see anything coming because they had this big bush around their mailbox. Fortunately, they chose to take that down. But, those are the things that need to be enforced. And maybe this paragraph needs to be revised that says, that obstruct or create a public safety, issue. They cannot be permanently fixed. Any shrubbery needs to be trimmed so it doesn't create a public safety hazard or an obstruction to visibility. And, as the previous paragraph says, if that stuff, whatever it is, needs to be removed for whatever reason, the town's not responsible to replace it.
Mhm.
Then you've got somewhat of latitude to allow people to decorate their yard, even though it's technically not their yard.
Yeah. But whatever it says in here, that's what we're gonna do. I mean, if my guys have to go out and start making people pull things, that's what we'll do. It's kind of like when we spoke about the comp plan yesterday. If we create a comp plan and we have A, B, and C, we need to do A, B, and C. Same with these ordinances. If we have an ordinance in place, we need to do it.
But if they place stuff in the right of way and the town doesn't enforce it, if somebody runs into it with their car, is the town also liable along with the homeowner?
If we knew it was there and we knew it wasn't right, yes. Because that happened, where was I? I was actually in Georgia, but there was a traffic light that was out and we knew it was out and we didn't do anything about it. And there was a wreck caused because it was out. And even though it was DOT's traffic light, we knew about it and we said, oh, it's DOT's, let's not worry about it. So it cost us some money.
Well,
Well, but that's a little different scenario than somebody has an azalea bush, out on the corner of their yard.
Yeah, but if we know it's there and it's blocking traffic and it's, or
Well,
blinding
if it's
traffic.
blocking traffic, what if it's just in the middle of the block? It's there minding its own business. The guy's driving drunk and he runs into it and wrecks his car
well,
instead of just running off the road and back on.
Yeah,
well, it's an object, is the way that the
Yeah.
insurance looks at it. It's an object in the right of way. Is it a natural object or is it an object placed there?
hmm
A plant could be placed there too.
yeah.
So
And that's,
it's a.
Well, I could run over a plant, not tear the car up, but on the corner
Depends on
of
how big it
14th,
is.
on the corner of 14th, there are 400-pound rocks in the right of way.
Yeah.
And they're only this high. If you're not looking for them, you won't see it till you hit them.
Yeah.
It'll take the front of your car off.
got it.
Well, that's probably for the people that they don't want parking there for the Christmas decorations.
Well, they don't want people parking there. I know the people that own the house.
Yeah.
And I've told them they shouldn't do that, but they did it anyway.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at this because there are so many places in town that have shrubbery
Oh, God, yes.
in the right of way. Some of them are brand new.
Mhm.
They've just been built in the last 2 years. And that's why I brought it up. It's
And-
almost not enforceable.
Mhm.
Or if you do enforce it, you're going to
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna
Oh.
have to enforce it for the whole time. And this, and you're right, the other day on, and I can't remember the street, but it's on Surfside, I drove up and trying to make the left, where it comes straight down, and I had to actually go out into the street so I could see past the fence. Cause I couldn't see what was coming.
If you, the bank at the corner of Fifth, they have stuff growing so that when you pull up there, even in a golf cart, you gotta get almost out the street to see around it, see if anybody's coming. There's a stop sign. This is, as you cross over Fifth, might be the TD Bank on the corner of Fifth. And
On the corner of Fifth is Conway.
Yeah, maybe.
Back.
This
Well-
side or that side?
when I cross over, it'll be on your right. I think that's the Fifth.
Can't be Fifth.
Can't be Fifth.
Okay, then it's at the stop sign on the access road. There is a bank sitting on the corner and you have to get out in the street to see around it. And there's a stop sign on the access road.
That sounds like the TD
I think it's a
TD
TD Bank.
TV Bank at Second.
Yeah, okay. Wrong location.
Myself, I have a shrubbery at my mailbox, so it's actually in the right of way of the town. So in the way it's written right now, that means that shrubbery would have to come down, right?
Not-
Yeah.
Not if it's,
Well, it's always my understanding
a
that
small
if you put
shrubbery,
something
it's
in the
one
right
thing.
of way, there's a fire or something, the fire truck comes,
They take it right
the
out.
fire truck's gonna run right over it because the fire truck needs to get out of the way, so the stuff's not
But
completely
on
blocked.
on what I have at my house, at my mailbox, there are plenty of room on each side of it, and I keep it trimmed back to a certain, end, but it's still.
I think
I
mailboxes
think-
are exempt.
I think maybe you need to go back to what Cindy said. I mean, people put things in the right of way with the understanding that if we need to go into that
Yeah.
right of way, we're gonna dig it up and that's
Yeah.
on you. However, there's a safety issue if it's blocking so you can't see around the corner or it's dangerous because it's gonna rip the front end of your car off if someone makes a mistake. Maybe that's what we need to.
No,
There's a lot of
Just
people
But we
put
have to
stuff
write
in the
that in
right of way
there.
So that visitors don't come and park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but
Right
people-
there, it's all kinds of-
Yeah.
People also generally do not realize that their property does not go to the street.
Absolutely,
Many people do not understand that that first 10 feet is not their property line.
absolutely. You're absolutely
Well, I think-
right.
And the mailboxes, just like the driveways, when the property is developed, have an encroachment permit
Mhm.
to encroach on that right of way, to place that mailbox, to place that driveway.
So maybe
Could be
what we
carried
do
away.
is, once we've got this done and we approve it, then we have some citizen meetings, because we said we're gonna schedule them, and we talk about right of way and what the responsibilities are, and then once we've done that, then we go get the ones that are in violation.
Well, you have your quarterly meetings, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
And then
and- I still think this paragraph needs to be written such that it is not permanent. It can be removed. It has to be, reasonably able to be moved, that, we shouldn't have to have backhoes or 75 people do it. And it needs to not create a safety hazard, that any shrubbery must be maintained, et cetera. You can't preclude visibility.
Okay, how about people that use reflectors to stop all people driving on them? That can, they are a major thing,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look good either.
Yeah, but if you've got a piece of wood coming up to stop people coming in, a brick coming up to stop people coming in, something that is blocked, they can't do that. That's our property. That needs to go anyway. If you've got a plant that's in there and we put something in here saying that with the understanding it's not a safety hazard, it's not blocking the view, but if we need to get in there, the pipe breaks, we're gonna dig it up, the fire truck is gonna run it over. And as long as we've got it in there written that way, that should cover that type of stuff, but give us the authority to go get the safety stuff Cindy was talking about. You get that? Does that make sense?
Make sure they don't come along and start planting hedges down the right of way.
Yeah. And,
Well,
and
but again, that creates a blocked visual.
I
Yeah.
agree.
so,
I agree.
but once we've got that, then what we'll do is, as you just say, we've got a newsletter that goes out. We can put stuff on our Facebook.
I mean, otherwise you're going to have to say effective as of this date. You can no longer put anything in the right of ways, including, boulders, pylons,
Mhm.
reflectors, whatever you're gonna say, you better give them notice.
Oh, yeah.
And then you gotta figure out, okay, are we going to allow grandfathering?
I will, if it's a danger, I
Because
wouldn't.
then it creates a whole problem
Yeah.
throughout the town that, well, they were allowed to do it, why
Yeah.
can't I do it?
Yeah,
you
but if you do grandfather and it's those rocks and we know that they're there and if somebody gets hit, they're not wearing a seatbelt and they go right through the window and die, that's on us. Even though they're not wearing a seatbelt, because we knew it was there, we knew it was dangerous and we allowed it to happen.
Well, that'd be not necessarily in a car. That'd be a golf cart or anything hit them. If they were legal to drive on the streets, we'd be
Yeah.
liable and
Yeah,
responsible for it.
that little 8-year-old kid that's trying to ride his bicycle that hits that thing. I got it. I think I understand what we need to do.
Well, all they got
Once this is done, we're gonna do those citizen classes. We're gonna get this stuff posted. We're gonna enforce it.
all they gotta do is drive around.
Yeah.
Look,
Oh, they will. Yes, sir.
it's not hard.
It'll be done.
Okay, my next comment is 1223A. Since we have defined the term event to include block party, in this section, we don't need to have or block party.
1223A. Hold up.
A, B,
Okay.
throughout this thing.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I
23.
missed 23. I didn't see it. So what are we doing?
You saying eliminate
Did I say
block party?
22? Yeah, 23, sorry. Yes, 23.
12, 23.
A,
Special events.
B, C, D,
Yeah, right here.
throughout.
Still on page 2 at the bottom.
I'm looking for block party.
Special events. It's under special events. Then it's got. when you
Oh,
think
here it is. I missed it. Went right back.
Block party on
Thank you.
or block party.
The other one is in, B10. We don't need to say firearm or because that is also included in the definition of weaponizable implements.
Okay.
Another nitpick is to delete the comma in C, first line. Just to be persnickety. Sorry, 40 years of contracting, can't help it.
Okay.
In D1, we would have the right to waive the fee for small or nonprofit events.
No. Got it.
Where's my next one to talk about? E5.
Mhm.
Do we really want to preclude an event that may have a purpose of advertising or selling goods and services? I'm thinking like, what if we had an event promoter wants to come in and do a home improvement kind of event, things like they have down at the convention center, that we bring all the contractors, landscapers, businesses in to show what's available to us. Do we really want to preclude that from happening in our town? That's just a question. Based on our discussion with the Chamber of Commerce
I wouldn't.
and the fact that they want to get in touch, have Robert get in touch with various other event sponsors and promoters, I don't think we want to necessarily discourage any kind of event coming to town that can potentially, have a significant fee and,
That would
other income to the town.
That would preclude our health fair from coming in.
Basically, yes.
Because I mean, they're there to sell a service or to
Got it.
provide a service for a fee.
So I just think maybe that paragraph needs to be reconsidered, rewritten a bit. My next comment is in paragraph F. What exactly is our liability under the South Carolina Tort Claims Act, for which we are asking the event coordinators to provide insurance to cover?
Good question.
And is any of this actually stipulated in the execution of a contract or an agreement that is signed by the event coordinator? Because this is all fine and swell. One of the things I asked Kenny when we did chapter 9 and chapter 8 was, do we really want to be so specific and so prescribed in an ordinance that we then have limited our flexibility to update and change? A lot of this that is in the blue text, I know I created it, I know this has my name on it, but it came from a document that was created by Bill and Elise about what we would put in that third-party agreement. So yeah, I still think some of this needs to be part of an independent agreement that we sign with that promoter
So,
and just set out that that agreement will be executed.
yes,
in
so
here.
the town holds a $1 million policy.
Okay.
And so that's per the Tort Claims Act. And so we would request that the event organizers include us as a insured other or additionally insured for $1 million.
Okay,
A good example of that, and actually below that ordinance, you have amongst your packet a special event application that we have developed. That is a special event application that other municipalities in our area have used and used quite well. And I most recently used that with an event that is planned to come to town this May, actually. So they filled that out for us, and they have included us as an additionally insured for their event to the amount of $1 million.
okay, cool.
So they have to have the insurance policy. They just, and if they want to come here, then they have to add us as an additional insured on that policy.
Correct.
So we actually check their policy.
Correct. And I asked for a copy of that policy, and for this event that has been proposed for May, I have a copy of their policy. I do need to get it changed because they put our old address on there. But yes, I have a copy of that policy for this event that wants to come in May.
What is the cost for somebody to get a $1 million event liability?
It's not much,
It's not really much.
because it goes by day. So essentially, it's just for the days that your event is
I
taking
was
place.
just wondering what.
Yeah,
It's not a significant burden.
$100?
I think even less than that potentially.
Okay. Just wanted to know.
Didn't know.
That has to be added to the
I had
actual
a policy
insurance
once,
document
it was
as an
county
add-in.
policy, and it was like
Yeah, so they-
It has to be typed in
Yes.
who they're covering,
Yeah, so
and that's very important.
So
yes, so
divide that
we
by
get,
12.
and
It's
like in the instance that I'm
$30 a
referring to,
month.
we get added as an additionally insured in their
Right.
policy.
I
And
have
there
an
is a
umbrella.
sheet that gets printed out
How
that
much we
lists
weigh.
us on the bottom as additionally insured for that policy.
From the company,
Yeah.
right?
From the
In other
com-
words,
yeah,
just
from-
because they fill this form out and they say, oh, I've got $1 million insurance, I'm put you on the policy, don't mean nothing.
No, I have a sheet from their,
Okay.
at least I'll get a sheet from their
Okay.
insurance company with the dates listed and our name and address as additionally insured.
That becomes part of the document.
Right. Certification of it, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
Okay, well, I think maybe just take this section with more focus on completing the full permit application and, just reference, just put here the basics of what's in that.
Five.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking just in general of this section 1223. Yes, we want policy type of stipulations here. But when we get to the specifics of the criteria for issuance is to successfully complete this application, provide the necessary information, obtain those approvals. But when we start prescribing what exactly those requirements are, maybe just another paragraph is provide the requisite liability insurance, et cetera. Because if for some reason that changes, we're then stuck with a modifying ordinance, 2 readings, and going through that formality instead of just being able to change our permit application, which is much easier. So I just caution what you say here. If it's overly prescribed, then we don't have a lot of flexibility to adapt to our changing environment. Because this was written originally to replace the agreement like we signed with My Olive Shack. So, the provisions of that agreement need not be so prescribed. If they're in the permit application, that's perfect. That's exactly where they need to be. And here you should just reference at a high level that the permit application requires liability insurance. It requires compliance with laws. It requires this, it requires that, without prescribing what exactly those things are.
And that is our intent, is to essentially have it spelled out in the application, rather than in the ordinance. For that very reason, we just.
Correct.
That might need to do this.
Yeah, so I just think in general, maybe this can be streamlined a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
My other comment is in paragraph G, we did not update the reference to building and codes or event coordinator.
Okay.
And then I leave you off the hook until, what is that, paragraph I3?
What page you on?
J3 perhaps?
Maybe it's J, I don't know, I can't see it.
Yeah, the I's and J's look very.
Yeah, and it was, again, just section 2331, I assume, of this code. We need to verify numbering because we moved some things around. And what is the 31-520 South Carolina code? I guess that's, and is that consistent with the new open carry laws? Is that where that is?
Yes, so,
Shall make no law to infringe.
I mean, I'm okay with what it says. I just make sure,
The code's right.
is 1231 still 1231? I forget where we moved stuff from.
that came, yeah.
It's
it
probably
should be.
after this.
It should be. That came from Chief Hoffman,
Okay.
about the weapon, about the open carry stuff.
Y'all
And I-
ran, y'all ran all this by to make sure legal wise
Yeah.
on this part, because I'm just asking
Yeah, yeah.
to make damn sure.
Oh, yes.
But the new open carry law, is part of South Carolina 31-520?
No, we were waiting till they.
Okay.
all the
Once-
changes that
Yeah,
they want,
once
and then
this,
we'll
it
send that
went,
through.
it did go through Chief Hoffman, and then once we've got the changes with you guys, we'll put it into the right format. Then we'll give it to the attorney, and she will say, yes, everything's legal.
Okay.
She's not there to write it. She's not there to change the format. She's there just to make sure everything in it's legal. And then it'll come back to us, so,
Because you know, the little things on no law shall be made to infringe upon
yes, sir.
Second Amendment, you know?
Oh, amen to that. I
So
can't
I
my
just
gun
wanna make
all the
sure.
time. No. I have one.
Okay, the next one is 7II capitalized event. Again, sorry, spent a lot of years in contracts. The next one is, and Laverne, I could give this one to you.
Go ahead.
K,
Cindy, have you gotten to the mobile food vendor yet?
no, K6. Like hell, I'm gonna prohibit throwing candy at parades.
Yeah.
I know it creates a mess. I know Public Work has to go back and clean it up.
I
But
think And it wasn't that, I think what was brought to me during this is we had kids running out in front of golf carts to pick up candy. And there was a couple of close calls that staff saw. That's what this was based on.
Did you not say something about people had some complaints about getting kittens and stuff too?
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. You're right, sir. And there were some complaints that people that don't like people were hitting them with the candy in the head and stuff. I'm joking. They were just showing it.
So in our parade application, all that, it lays out that you should throw candy a certain way. You should not, you should only throw soft candy. No matter what we do, people disregard it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman that was hit in the head with a hard milk bone at our parade.
That's a dog thing.
Yes, it was about this
They were
big,
throwing it
and
out,
she
yeah.
came in and handed it to me and showed me the bump on her head. So our intent is not to, just, to take away the fun. Our intent is for safety.
Right.
There were kids, as the commissioner mentioned, running out in front of trucks. There was even one truck who was throwing cash from
And
their
that
bucket
should
truck.
not be allowed.
Correct. So it's not, again, to dissuade the fun, but it's to try and just prevent any kid or anybody from getting hurt.
Right.
That's our intent.
So
You can't have
But
this
candy,
trouble.
We're not saying that you can't have somebody walk along and hand out
Correct.
candy. We just are asking that it not be thrown.
well, no, do it this way, not overhand, underhand.
It's
Underhand.
well, no, I still
and it
got to throw it
doesn't
overhand at Ruby.
But you could do it any way you want to do it, and you still gonna have somebody show up and bitch. You got a Karen or a Kevin gonna show up and they're gonna complain. So I don't know what you do.
Well,
My,
and we shouldn't
Cause-
throw like, my concern has always been the lollipops that have sticks.
Oh, you can launch them.
yeah.
Yeah, I go right through somebody's eye. It's like, no, don't buy anything that has lollipops in it.
And what was it, them little guys, the little fast cars? I know there was always a big stink. Everyone wanted them. in the-
Shriners.
Yeah, they wanted them in the parade, so they ran over three or four kids a couple years ago. I mean, will it happen? You hope not, but
But
do I
parents
want
have
my
to show-
Well,
grandchild
parents
to be
need to
that
control their
person?
kids too. I
Parents
mean,
gotta-
they gotta be
And I
supervised.
don't disagree with that.
I mean,
but
you got grandkids, toddlers. I've had mine and toddlers, and with
Yeah.
that little,
You hold them.
a dog leash works real good on the back of a pair of blue jeans. I mean, it really does. They're not gonna run off. They're not gonna
Mm.
do stuff like that.
But
Well,
my
oh, sorry,
thought-
Chris.
My thoughts of this, we've been in several of these golf cart parades and the Christmas parade, and we do have a problem with kids running out. My problem is not throwing the candy per se, is not getting the traffic to stop out there. That when you get a open spot, you got traffic. Then them kids starting out the road. That's what the safety part.
Our golf cart parades over the last 4 or 5 parades, they do not close Ocean Boulevard.
That's,
They
Right.
leave one side of Ocean Boulevard
Yes.
going down. So if I'm in the golf cart, and I'm usually the first golf cart, I can't even approach the people on the right-hand side because cars are coming this way on it. So, I may stop and these people are running out to come up to get candy or whatever, and there's still cars moving on.
They need to
So I
block
think
the
that,
whole
We need to
For
stop that.
the
Okay.
safety, that we ought to make it so that Ocean Boulevard during those blocks be closed during the time.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
we're only
we
talking an hour or
And
so.
we can
anyway.
do
Agreed.
that, and we can do
Anytime
that
we
with
have-
physical road barriers.
anytime we have a parade of any sort that you're doing something like that, it ought to be completely blocked off the traffic,
Mhm.
only to the parade traffic.
Well, our
Well-
parade lasts, what, 15, 20 minutes?
It ain't long.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think.
Well, we can get to that when we get to the parade section.
Yes.
So what do we decide about the candy?
I think we
How
still
about
do it.
soft candy?
Well, I think we can say something here about the safety issue, not prohibiting throwing candy because,
Underhand only or something.
well, it's just never going to happen. You don't want to pass a law that you can't enforce.
You can't police that.
And I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to place a police officer or code enforcement every block to
No.
yell at people?
No.
I mean, we can't do that. We're not going to put up barriers that, that says kids can't run out in the street. I mean,
Well, what we can do is when we have a golf cart parade is post the rules. And the rules are that,
but again, you don't want to write that in an ordinance.
well, I didn't say put it in the ordinance. I said,
Well, but
post the rules and make the rules for the parade.
yeah, but for this section, I think it just needs to be rewritten. I mean, just to say, either don't say it at all, or say something about,
I wouldn't say.
I would just say, don't say anything at all, frankly,
I would
because
take it out.
even saying something about throwing objects in a safe manner or something, I mean, that just
It's
opens
up for
another can of
interpretation.
worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just
I'd say just.
take that out. That and delete the second 7 in the paragraph.
Save us.
Oh, yes, I got that this morning. It's actually one of your other packets.
Oh, okay. You haven't looked what you changed in the new one, so.
Okay, just a couple things like that.
Michael, you want to talk about mobile food vendors? Because I have my own comments
Mobile
there.
food vendor, this guy down here, the event coordinator authorized, basically parking location of each mobile vendor, and I'm assuming you're talking about at the, whatever you're putting on. Well, we have our one in town who's always here. And not that I have against the Gracious Pig at all, it's just that it's always down there. There's not supposed to be one in town.
Well, that's a violation of chapter 17.
So, which is, because what's gonna happen, when Johnny decides he wants to put one, he pulls it up beside his house. And then Paul does one and pulls it up beside his house. And then, or another business down decides to put one in, then we're gonna be complaining. Well, why are you gonna complain now? You're not doing nothing about the other one. So, which is it? That's all I'm saying. So we gotta figure out which way we're gonna handle that.
Well, I would propose we consider taking out allowed during permitted events and just say that, as permitted. I mean, for example, if we have, what's the Italian ice guy? He wants to come out and park on Surfside Drive in the summer and sell ice cream.
Yeah.
Can't he come to town hall and ask for a mobile food vendor permit? And we authorize him to park in space X or whatever it is for a certain period of time, and that's what his permit's for, and he pays whatever permit fee to do that.
I don't think we allow that right now.
No, we don't, but that's why we're revising ordinances to change what we allow.
But just back to the Gracious Pig, on his truck, his vendor truck down there, since he's not selling nothing out of that, it's just parked there. What is the rule on that?
That's against the flood ordinance and the zoning ordinance in chapter 17 and chapter 14.
Even though it's movable?
Yeah, you're not allowed to have those vehicles, those types of vehicles parked in the R3 or in the VE zone.
If they used it, it would be considered an accessory structure. Okay, and you can't have an accessory structure in the flood zone. So they can have it there,
No, it
But
can't
they
even
can't
be
even have
parked
it
there.
it can't be parked in.
No.
That really gets
No.
into it. I'd have to read
It's
that
the same with RVs and trailers and that kind of thing. They're not allowed in that district.
Boats or nothing? No, nothing like that.
That's what's in chapter 14 zoning or 17 zoning.
Okay. For this right here, how about the old ice cream truck that goes around on weekends here and sells ice cream with all through town?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
I've been running after.
I run him down every time I get a chance, and he ain't supposed to be here. I know, I agree with you. And
Well,
I
again,
don't see nothing wrong with him either, but I
but he should come and get the permit
she
to
could
do
just
so
come get
for
a
the day.
permit.
Is that like Mr. Softy or something?
Yeah, well,
It's just a regular,
The good humor man?
yeah.
yellow thing, yeah.
Yeah, he should come get a permit,
Yeah,
make sure he has a business license,
right.
and he's free to sell his wares in town.
Then you know that.
And
he's a
if it's
legitimate
becoming
business.
an issue, we have too many or whatever, it's causing havoc somewhere, then we just don't issue a permit for that type of activity.
Instead of letting.
Yeah,
some
but do you
do
want the
some-
booze pop guy coming?
Yeah, park in my front yard.
Coming through the neighborhood?
But again, that violates a different ordinance that says you can't serve alcohol on public property, blah, 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 without an approved resolution. So we wouldn't issue him the permit
Right.
against our own ordinance.
But there's something about the booze pop that it's not classified as being an alcoholic beverage.
Well, then we can issue the permit.
Which is it?
Yeah,
Which is it? One way or the other. Nothing against you. I'm just saying.
yeah, I mean,
Which.
if he's,
No. Nothing to you. It's just. which is
if
it,
he's
you know?
licensed by the state in such a manner that he does not constitute selling alcohol, then we don't have a problem with it. If he's licensed by the state to sell alcohol, then he can't come to our town without a resolution passed that allows him to be there. Either is or he isn't.
Kind of like I'm pregnant or not.
Yeah. My other comment in this section is, again, we have event coordinator. And I don't, yeah, I guess there is such a thing as an event vendor permit. I guess that's a one-day thing. I guess it depends on how many times the mobile food truck wants to come in and what his permit would say, but
I can talk about that a little more.
please.
So that is one of the things that is in your packet. They're trying to get in line with what the
In here?
municipality. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's the second to last page and the last page on there. There's an example of a one-day
One-day
vendor
vendor
permit
okay.
application
Mhm.
and then the actual one-day vendor permit. I'm trying to get us in line with other municipalities in the area that do this. Essentially, during events, if you are an in-town business license holder, you would pay just the registration fee for said event. If you don't have a business license for, as a business license in the town, you could pay a one-day vendor permit of $10 to then essentially be allowed to, sell and then also pay the registration fee. This is something that municipalities around our area do, and they have done it successfully. I've talked with vendors, and they all say this system works. So it just kind of clarifies or cleans up any misunderstandings of can I sell, what do I need to pay, that sort of thing.
Okay. Good. That's a good idea. Any more on 1225? 1226A, delete the S off of events. And I'm done until 1227. Well, technically it's the second 1227. I would recommend you move that to be 1233 to the end of the provision.
Penalty?
The second 1227 penalty. Move that to be 1233. And when we get to 1229. Oh, wait, anybody else have anything?
I got
Okay,
one that puts under
I feel like I'm the only one doing it.
They're doing a good job. We're letting them do it.
1228, where it goes into A, permit required. And I just want to make sure that as long as they got a permit, some of our town people do have the, make sure I'm reading this right. They do have the tables and chairs and stuff like that set up. That it's okay to continue to do that with a permit, correct? So,
Yeah, as far as sidewalk cafes?
yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay, good.
yes.
That's the only thing I had, I want to make sure of.
Okay, for 1229, and it's kind of throughout this section that I think we're adding a level of confusion to those that may have to read this and figure out what they have to do by inserting that is now the Public Works Director that issues this permit and not the permitting administrator, which I know I did ask this question of Sabrina, but John, since you're here, I mean, it's just that I fully understand, appreciate, and agree that you're the guy that's gotta,
Yeah, I've always
do
been the
this.
permanent administrator. We just cleaned it up to eliminate confusion. Like, there might be two different people. It's actually one person. We put permanent administrator in there when we created this ordinance about 10, 11 years ago. As a generic term of whoever's handling the program, which was me.
right?
And it's always been me since we created it. So just to make it blatantly obvious, who gets the permit application, it's the Public Works Director.
Well, but doesn't that still go into Sabrina's permit system anyway?
No, not a sidewalk cafe permit. No. It totally comes from me, paper. I make sure they meet all the criteria. I make sure that all the paperwork is in order,
Right.
insurance, proof from the landlord, all the things they have to do, checklist.
It's the same as an encroachment
Yeah, I
permit.
stamp it approved, I get the check, I give it to finance, so they can allow the money, and that's it. That doesn't go to Sabrina's department.
Encroachment permit.
Okay.
I'll go through Sabrina.
Yeah, this is not an encroachment permit. We intentionally during this revision removed any reference to the word encroachment in here and put sidewalk cafe permit because we don't want to confuse the two. We're not calling this an encroachment permit. We're calling it a sidewalk cafe permit specifically.
And you issue that piece of paper that actually says sidewalk cafe permit?
Yeah, I print a placard
Okay,
for the current fiscal year and I give it to the business after they've completed all the time.
And they have to display that permit too, right?
Yeah, I mean, upon request, they should be able to produce it. I mean, it's not like a business license that you have to put it up. But we only have 3 in town, it's kind of easy for me to manage.
well, can we change this to say, I just don't want to create confusion that, again, we've got multiple people doing the same thing, as issued by the town and approved by Public Works. I mean, does that make sense?
I'm doing it all, so.
John knows
Okay,
it.
all right,
So, however
okay.
you want to handle it, it's still gonna be me.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's still gonna be me.
Okay, all right. Let's see, the other thing I said here on B, we're taking one heck of a step in permit fees. And according to my very brief chat with Sabrina this morning, that this was tried before and the businesses complained, and that's why it was lowered. Is there some compromise between jumping from $25 to $150 or $50 to $250?
When the ordinance was first created, it was $250 and $500. And I don't know who exactly, someone complained to one of the council who brought forward at a council meeting, they felt it should be very nominal. And the council decided to make it 25 and 50, depending on the size, as opposed to 250 and 500. This number here is a compromise.
Is the compromise,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
And are we notifying those people that currently hold sidewalk cafe permits that, they're gonna have to belly up another
Well, upon the new.
$100
Once it's
$25
approved-
next
Once
year?
it's approved, we'll make sure
Yeah, come
everybody
July
knows.
1st when the new application package, I personally drop off the application package. Each July. And then I chase them down for everything for the next couple of months till I get everything.
But like you said, there's only 3
Three.
at this time.
Yeah, and I'll make them aware of it as they get their new
And that's
Well, but
that's Benjamin's Bakery.
Borgata and Wooden Spoon.
Okay.
Well, but I also think maybe we should be giving them a heads up that says, look, this is coming up and it's gonna quadruple your fee for next year, so don't be shocked when your new application includes a fee of, not $25, but $150. I'd still give them a heads up before they're surprised with the package, because they need to say, okay, well, is it worth it to me? Because, frankly, Borgata's uses it as a smoking section,
That's true.
frankly. They
Now
might
got that
say,
whole Patio on the side.
well, that's a different issue, but they may say, you know what, it's not worth it to me for $150 and have to take their steps to remove that.
Okay.
So,
Well, should this be approved, I will certainly make the communication prior to July 1st.
Yeah, I think we just give them a heads up, it's coming. Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
because that's a big jump. Okay,
Well, I want to ask, why the big jump? I mean, I don't mind raising the fees, but that is a big jump.
Well, Katrina and I spoke about it, and we've looked at some other places that do have sidewalk cafe systems, and everybody charges in the hundreds of dollars. I mean, $25 and $50 doesn't even cover my time going to visit them 6 times. And all the emails and phone calls involved in getting the permit approved, so
Okay.
it should be higher than that. Where that number is, it's completely up to council. It's not a moneymaker where we're
Well, they're actually purchasing retail space. I mean, this is space, town space that they can use for their business, so.
They're getting retail space.
So if Benjamin's is expanding his business by, say, 4 or 5 by 70 feet.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of square footage,
without leasing the property.
Right.
for
Mhm.
$50 a year.
That's cheap.
They do a good job with it, not to take anything away from it, but I think, 25 and 50 is a little low.
Okay. So it goes as a flat rate instead of going by square footage?
There's under 150 square feet, like we just wanted to put a couple of tables out front, and then there's above 150 square,
Okay.
which is, well, all three of them are over 150. But the wooden spoon, for example, they made a nice little area outside, still maintaining the pedestrian flow, which is required in the permit application. I went over all the dimensions with them, and there several times, they had fencing manufactured for that purpose, and they've expanded their footprint by a nice amount. They've got a dozen tables.
Yeah.
How much time are you spending on that when you have to do that?
I would say
Roughly.
a couple of hours, maybe. Some of them are easier than others. I'm not gonna name names, but some of them, they come to me and drop it off, and some of them I have to make multiple phone calls and visit to get what I need. But it's not a whole lot of time. I mean, of course, if it's for the whole year, all three of them, it might be, 10 hours or 8 hours I spend on it before it's settled till the next July.
So that really, like you say, that really wouldn't even cover your cost or your time to do that,
Not at the current rate.
not at the current rate.
And if more people, if 2 more restaurants move in, Third Avenue South, Surfside Drive, and then you get 2 more cafes, it'll just add to the time,
Yes.
only go down. So the number should be higher than 25 to 50.
What
Maybe
about-
not the 250 and 500, but somewhere between, that's why we came up
What about the little chairs and tables outside the real estate office?
with real estate office.
Was that Weicker?
The one next to Malibu, to the right of Malibu.
Between Malibu and Surfside
A
Pizza?
couple of those businesses have a little, like 2 or 3 foot space. Their business is recessed a little bit into their property line, and they can use that couple of feet.
That's on their property.
If it's on their property, I make them, I'm always over there having them remove like sandwich signs off the sidewalk and all things like that. But a couple of them do have a couple of feet. Because
Okay,
their building is not exactly up to the property line. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
yeah, because I've seen them out in the middle of the sidewalk too.
Yeah, they'll take advantage sometimes. They have to be reeled in.
Okay.
But that part of Borgata
They can go
added the
pick
big
them up
deck
over
out
here
there,
by
that ain't
dumpster.
considered on our property anyway. That would
Right.
fall under that category.
On the lot to the side of that?
Yes,
So that's private property, but their sidewalk cafe is
yes, up
actually,
front.
for this current year, is actually gonna extend across both frontages of both of those lots. That's their permit.
Okay.
Which is fine. We still have pedestrian flow.
Yes.
But, again, it's over 150 square feet, so.
Yeah.
Unless Giuseppe wants to park there during the,
Yeah, that was really shitty.
What?
during the Discover Surfside event.
Yeah,
Somebody told him just park right here and he pulled up right on the sidewalk and
Right on.
parked his car to go into, when he was out in the dunk tank.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, his car was parked on the sidewalk in front of that parking lot.
okay. Did not know that.
That was terrible.
Mhm. One of our police officers told him to do it. Okay,
Thank you, John.
Thanks, sir.
okay. I left you alone until insert 1233. And then renumber your sections that are reserved from 34 to 40. And my next one comes up in 1264 of surfing. So does anybody have anything before that? Okay, in surfing, it was just kind of questions. It shall be unlawful for any person to ride a surfboard or any other similar device of hard or solid nature between the hours of 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. without an exception. I mean, later it says during the off season you can do it. So I just think A and C can be merged
Combined.
together to be a little clearer.
Got it.
We have poles placed at the dunes marking what? Designated summer season surfing areas? We have such poles?
Yeah.
We do? Okay, cool.
They're painted black and white, and that's the
Mhm.
standard color. But you're supposed to use black and white poles or black and white flags for people who are surfing, they can see it from the water where their delineation area is.
And these are the areas that like Phil Jackson uses as his prime surfing areas. Like I know there's one in front of the Holiday Inn, there's one,
There's 3 or 4 blocks on the north end, 3 or 4
Yeah.
blocks on the south end.
okay.
I can tell you this isn't enforced.
What's that?
They are marked, but I've never seen them make a surfer move into the designated area.
Yeah, and I guess there's a distinction between what's a surfboard and the little,
Boogie board.
No, these are
Boogie
surfers.
boards, you
These
know.
aren't-
but
these
yeah,
aren't
I've seen
boogie
them.
boarders.
Yeah, I've seen them too.
And their defense, if people start swimming in the designated area, they move to an area where there aren't swimmers. So I'm not saying it needs to be enforced. I'm just saying there are probably times, July 4th area, that they need to call them out of it. Just tell them there's too many swimmers, you can't surf.
Well, the lifeguard should be doing that.
Well, but I've never seen it happen. And
Lifeguards or beach, or what's the other one, beach ambassadors.
Yeah.
The only people I've gotten to enforce the, where the baby won't fall. Surfers that down there without a tether are the beach patrol guys, not the ambassadors. Because every time I see one, I start looking for somebody to get them out of the water.
Well, having the tether is really critical because
Yeah.
that's where it becomes a weaponized injury.
That's weaponized, yeah. And I've seen the lifeguard try to do it and the guy brushed him off. But when I got a hold of the beach service guy, he got him out of the water and sent him home. Our ambassadors just walked away from it. They wouldn't handle it. So I know we have designated areas, but you also have surfers that use their brains and look, so well, here's an area that nobody's swimming, I'm gonna surf here. Because we don't ban swimmers from the surfing area. So they go where there aren't swimmers. Now, I wouldn't know how to change that other than let you know that's what's going on.
You ain't saying change the order, you just saying how's it being enforced. You want to know how they enforce it.
Well, I don't know that it needs to.
I mean, have we ever had a problem with
Yeah, as
this?
long as it's not a problem.
You might want to ask Kenny if there's been an enforcement problem. I just wanted to add that we did several years back, put signs on the Ocean Boulevard entryways for these accesses on by the sidewalk saying surf area, in those approved areas. So people, the statement was made, and it was a good one at the time, this is 10 years ago, that how are the surfers going to know if they're driving looking for a parking spot where the surf area is? So we actually have surf area signs at the entrance to the beach access where it is allowed. So it's an additional layer of, hopefully guidance for the people.
I want to back
The
up.
swimmers.
Yeah, it is.
I want to back up for another tip about fishing. You know, people surf fishing. It can be a problem sometime in the summer when you got people out swimming. Here comes a guy with a rod and they start doing it 10 feet or 15, 20 feet around a guy. And you don't know where
That's
those
true.
hooks go. I had it done recently down there.
I thought we actually had an ordinance about surf fishing during the tourist season. I don't see it here, but yeah, I thought we did.
Well, the thing I said to the guy, I said, if my nephew gets a hook in him, you've seen the biggest lawsuit you'll ever see. And he said, you're taking away my fun for fishing. I said, you're also taking our enjoyable
Safety, yeah.
swimming.
Well, I think it'd be easy, put in a new paragraph 1262, talk about surf fishing and say, much like the surfing says, it's prohibited between 10 and 5 in peak tourist season, and should consider the presence of swimmers,
Yes,
et cetera.
I mean-
And then just move everything down and use up 1265,
But
since you
there's
got
people-
space
There's
there.
a lot of people that come to the beach not to go swimming, but just to go surf. fishing.
I know,
Absolutely,
but
but during the peak hours.
I would hate to rent a beach house, come down here. and find
But I'm
out
with
that they
Cindy
would
on
let me
that.
on the beach.
Well, but you go before 10 or after
Yeah.
5.
Have it in peak
Fish are
hours.
probably more available at that hour anyway.
of course, if we get more crowded, and we know we're gonna get more crowded, it becomes more dangerous.
Well, but
Mhm.
if you try to eliminate the surf fisher, then like Bob said, you were trying to
I'm
eliminate
not-
some
I'm
people.
not trying to eliminate.
I know, but
Well, less people are gonna be surf fishing once we get the pier.
There'll be only
More people are gonna go out on the pier and go fishing in lieu of surf fishing. Because in order to surf fish, you gotta go past the first sandbar. So that cast you make needs to be at least 100 feet. And some people can't cast
They
that.
can't pass it.
Yeah.
So they waste their time.
Yeah.
And also to the people that are surf fishing, they're casting out 100 or 200 feet. And the average person that goes swimming on the beach doesn't go out 100, 200 feet.
Yeah, but the hook's got to get out that far.
Yeah, the problem is the hook's coming in, not going out. It's coming in. That's
I
the problem.
That'd be my life.
To the peak hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be easy.
Don't let my
added in.
kids swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said add that as section
62.
1262, and then renumber the 3 paragraphs and use up what we're reserving as 1265, then we're good. And the his or her versus their, that's just a politically correct version of today's age. Are we done with surfing and all that?
I hope.
My next one is on 1267. Again, just my years of contracts. They're not windbreakers, they're windbreaks. Windbreaker is the jacket you wear.
What area?
Yeah. A, B, C.
It's a
It's
Okay.
1267A, third line.
Third line,
Got it.
It says windbreaker.
Got it.
It should be windbreaker.
yeah, windbreaker, windbreak.
Or windbreaks.
Mhm.
My only other question gets down to 1267D. We say they are allowed tents, canopies, cabanas, or other shading devices are allowed from Melody Lane to 17th Avenue North. Is there any exception for, again, so many feet from the pier that needs to be added in here?
Should be 300 feet from the
Well,
pier.
and I talked to Kenny about this
Yeah, I
because
think it's an emergency lane situation next to the pier. I think we have that marked sign, no sunbathing in that area between the pier and the swash. On the other side of the pier, I think it's no swimming. We have signs within a couple hundred feet of the pier. So they can sit on the beach, but they can't go in the water right next to the pier on the south side of the pier.
Okay, so it's contiguous except to the extent identified in the table.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Okay,
And I did talk to Chief Hoffman about this. I don't know, most of you probably remember, we got rid of tents at one point. I think it was in effect for like 3 months during the winter, and then we allowed them again.
Yep.
We're the only part of the Grand Strand that allows tents.
Yep.
Now, I talked to Kenny. He wouldn't say get rid of them, but he did say he would like to see them either gone or basically not having all these restrictions. Basically follow the restrictions of the umbrellas because it takes up a lot of officers' time, and I've seen it. People put 2 tents together, they come along and ask them to move them, and they get all bent out of shape, but they move them, but then they put another one, or somebody else puts another one right in between them, which just defeated the whole purpose of having the space between them. So personally, I would say get rid of them. Just keep the kids' tents for kids that want to take a nap. You want shade? What's wrong with an umbrella? They make big, nice umbrellas, you know? But that's me, whatever. But I did talk to Kenny quite a bit about it. He would like to see it either not restricted so much or done away with.
When we did that restricting them, it was a big controversy.
Oh, you had
That's why they
people
had to
coming
put
in.
it back.
Well, but with that being said, let me add one more thing, and then you can say something. It brings in a lot of people from both ends of the beach. We get everybody from the campgrounds, and we get everybody from Garden City that wants to use a tent. And if you go on the beach in the peak season, you'll see it. We have Tent City on both ends of the beach, which, you know.
And a lot of people are Ocean Lakes that are coming over to put
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, so I actually think we should just do away with it. It makes the beach the same as everybody else around us, the county areas. And yes, it will upset a few people, but they get used to it. They got used to no smoking on the beach.
No, they didn't.
My
yeah,
comment on
there's
that,
no alcohol on the beach either.
No.
Yeah, okay.
my comment on this,
That would do.
is if we want to be the family
I'm
beach,
not
the only
making a
people I
statement on
see
that.
ever using a tent is a family. I
right.
don't see a couple using a
They see
tent.
grandma and
They
grandpa.
use- But when you bring a whole family down here, you gotta, they put them up. There may be half the family in the tent, half the family out.
Right.
But they are the ones that use it. Now, whether they come from Ocean Lakes or Garden City, I don't know. I know we have golf carts from Ocean Lakes that come and park on 14th Avenue North. They're there on a regular basis, but they don't put up tents. But that's why I've always been in favor of them. I used to have 2. I don't have them anymore, but when our family comes, we sit under shade devices. And my son brings it.
Well, the other thing we have to realize,
The sheet that blows in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
the other thing we have to realize is we don't own the beach. We are granted the authority to regulate the beach, but we don't own the beach. So we cannot say, you know, Garden City can't come use our beach, Ocean Lakes can't come use our beach. it's not our beach.
Right.
So,
But we can prevent them from bringing tents.
I think
well,
that-
I think I'm with Bill that the people that use the tents are families. And one of the things that sets us apart as the family beach is that we do allow bigger shade structures to be placed on our beach. It's,
I think they should have people there, though. I hate when they bring them out in the morning, they set it up, then they're gonna have breakfast and
No,
hang out, and
Come out
and then
at
they'll
7
come back for
o'clock.
30
Some of them
minutes,
set
and then
'em
they'll leave, and then they'll come back. for-
Some of them set them up and you don't even see them use it.
Yeah,
They set it up as a place.
I think if we see a
and then
certain
they
amount
don't
of
even
time
come
is
use
empty,
it.
I
I've
think
seen that.
our beach ambassador should just pull it up. and-
One
Well,
of
but
the
then-
alternatives to the shade structure is they put up 5 umbrellas together
Right.
to create a big shade space.
mhm.
I think that's even worse. But
Those are
we don't,
targets on the
we don't
windows.
prohibit that. A lot of times you see 2 together, but I've seen as many as 5.
Right. Well, and to preclude the, set it up at 7 o'clock in the morning and don't use it till 3 o'clock in the afternoon is, when you put here under removed and disposal, you add the concept of abandonment. If we've got any number of the beach services guys out there, we've got the beach ambassadors out there. If nobody's been there for 4 hours, the shade structure is considered abandoned and it's removed. Or 2 hours or whatever is reasonable. I mean, if that's a real problem, I think we need to talk to beach ambassadors or beach services, find out, is it a real problem first?
That was Kenny that actually brought it to my attention, so I'd assume it would be.
So it is a problem.
Kenny brought it to my attention. He told me about it. so,
I'm not in favor of solving problems that don't really exist. So,
Agreed.
Creating one.
yeah,
Just put something
Agreed.
in there,
Well,
just put something in there
that
that
has
any
been
structure
done.
will not be left unattended.
You're right, because 3 years ago, we put a tent up at 9 o'clock. My son and I walked to the pier and back. We got back, the tent was gone.
You was a slow
So
walker,
I
man.
called the police, stole my tent, chairs, cooler. And of course, the police had gotten it. It was up behind the police station. But I had been doing that most of the summer, but that day they decided they were going to enforce it. Now, it was unattended. We brought it up, we set it up, put our chairs in, and my son and I walked to the pier and back.
I called my
And
doctor.
it was gone. But that's-
well, I would add that as a sentence under section A, where it talks about the hours it can be there and you can't build or erect a fence and blah, blah, blah. And just say, any shading device or however you want to, whatever the proper wording is, shall not be left unattended for more than,
How long did it take you to walk to the fair and back?
That's 28 blocks,
Okay,
14 down, 14 back.
2 hours.
No, it takes less than an hour, probably 45, 50 minutes for me. My
Say
son
about
can walk it faster.
but again, people leave things unattended to go play in the water, to go build a
Agreed.
sandcastle, whatever.
Yeah, those people know, normally those people will see you to show up. and
So
go,
if it's
"Okay."
unattended for hours upon hours
Yeah,
upon hours,
Couple hours, yeah.
that's different. A lot of people will leave it there. They're gonna go up to the surf diner and have lunch. We don't want to discourage that. It has to be to an extent that it has been abandoned.
Mhm.
Well, the
So,
I agree.
town's tent people, umbrella people, they'll put them up. Not last year before, the Smiths had an umbrella put in front of 14th Avenue every day during the summer.
Right.
3 or 4 days that they'd come down and use it. The rest of the time it sat there all day long
Same
until
thing.
they took it up. And
Same
one time
thing.
they took it up and then they came down at 4:30, wanted to know where their umbrella was.
mhm.
So Rod's happens to be a friend of mine, and I see that happen all the time, especially when I walk to the pier and back. You'll see rented tents umbrellas, excuse me, umbrellas, and nobody in them. No,
Right.
you know, the chairs are there, the umbrellas there, and there's nobody around.
Jim Duckett has two chairs and an umbrella that get put up every morning at 7:30 and they come out everything.
Well, that's
He
exactly what
never,
Roger's
he never goes down and sits in it.
Well, they came down when it suited them, but it was for the feed. They paid for it. It was put up. It sat there all day. I used it some.
It's $700 for the season.
You're right,
to have
And
two
it's a
chairs
bargain
put up on
for
an
them.
umbrella.
because they don't have to carry all that stuff down.
Well, and you have to be careful what you say, because Beach Services has the franchise agreement, and it allows them to put their row of beach chairs and umbrellas out for rent. Many of them may not be rented yet and are sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
Abandoned. So,
That's why I brought it up.
Situation all the way around.
yep,
Well, at some
Yep.
point, it is abandoned, even though they have the right to put them there.
I might take that umbrella
That they
down
should
and set
be
it up
told
in the
they
morning
have
and
to
not
take
go
it
back
down
for 2 or
by-
3 hours.
Just the fee.
Just for the same purpose.
or whatever,
well, but again, you
Then
know,
they have to put one back up if somebody asks to have one up.
well, but you can try to do that
I-
in your next franchise agreement, and good
Which
luck
is
with that.
7 years.
Yeah, good luck with
Yeah, we
that.
still got 6 years left on it.
But, you know, that also, you know, goes to this clause about selling products on the beach. That's yet to come up. They have the approval, the permits, the agreement that they can sell their quote, product service on the beach, and that is showing, here's your chairs, umbrellas and chairs. Now, if you want to rent one and move it down a block, you know, they have to move it, but you know, they can still, they're within their rights to display their products by agreement. So, I mean, that's kind of a slippery slope. You decide whether you want to put some kind of quantification on abandonment of shading devices.
Is it going back to what you said, is it a real problem? I mean, it's been going on for years.
Well, we don't have it right now, and they're already taking your stuff.
Now, that happened to be a tent.
Yeah.
It was not an umbrella.
Was it in the wrong place?
No, it was in the right place. It was just that we set it up, put our stuff there and went for a walk, and we came back, it was gone. And that one day, because we had it up all week, did the same thing every week. Sometimes we walked up here, sometimes we walked the other way. But that day they decided to enforce it.
Well, but there's actually nothing to enforce because there's nothing in the ordinance that says, I mean, as long as it's not up before, what is it, 7 a.m. or after 9 p.m. or whatever
Yeah, it's-
whatever the numbers are, vice versa. I don't know what it says. Yeah, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. If it's 6:30 a.m. you put it up, yeah, they're going to remove it. But if it's after 7, there's nothing here that says they can remove it. So I don't know what they're enforcing.
Well, this was 3 years ago. I don't know when this.
Oh, well, I
was
don't know
rewritten.
what it said 3 years ago.
I don't either.
Before my time.
I mean, they were within their right. I do know that what they did was, it was just that they didn't enforce it on a regular basis.
Right. Well, this now says they wouldn't do that
Right.
unless we put in here some kind of stipulation of what's considered abandonment. But, you know, do we really have a problem that people can't find someplace to put their umbrella when they go to the beach?
I say we leave that one alone.
I've never had a
Agreed.
problem.
Okay, well, I get down to 1269. This is one of the things I've been saying all along since we passed the dogs on the beach ordinance, that our ordinance does not match the signs we posted.
Nope.
So either signs need to change or this ordinance needs to change, one or the other. It's probably easier to type it here than buy new signs.
Yep.
So we're gonna go from May 1st to Labor Day?
Yeah,
Huh?
signs have been updated.
You know, all the signs with the rules on them, there's been a sticker placed over the line, but that used to be there, and it now says that goes out May 1st to Labor
Yeah.
Day. There was one case that was pointed out where someone had peeled the sticker off. I think Michael pointed out.
Yeah.
And we fixed that.
Yeah, we got that done.
So I'm pretty sure the sign situation is handled. So if
But-
anybody sees a sign that contradicts this, let me know about it.
I mean, is that still with stickers or did we order new signs?
So we had some additional signs, which, when we put stickers up, we weren't even thinking of, that were actually on the beach, on some of the poles on the beach, that said different hours. We could call those up.
Okay.
So I think right now the signage is
Mhm.
fine, matches the order.
Anything that was wrong, we took away.
Yeah.
As long as they match. I don't care
And
what the
ordinance
days
has been
are,
Fixed.
as long as they
Yeah.
match.
The Kenny had the first ordinance that was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
He got that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem was, you know, it's in here correct, but when we passed the ordinance, it was stipulating, and I think it might have been just in one of the recitals, so it's not legally enforceable, but we were talking about being consistent with our neighboring beaches, which is May 15th to September 15th. So, you know, but then we passed it as May 1st to
May
Labor
1st,
Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we kind of created confusion in our own document. So what do we want to be? Do we want to be like Garden City and, you know, like Horry County and say May 15th to September 15th? That creates, you know, a 2-week window on either side that somebody's walking down the beach. They, you know, they live on the south side of town. They want to walk to the Garden City Pier and back with their dog, and now all of a sudden they come across Melody Lane. It's like, oh, nope, you gotta wait 2 more weeks before you can cross here. You gotta take the dog back up on the sidewalk.
Right.
What do we want to do? Peel the stickers off, change the ordinance?
I'd
Would
say
be
leave
my,
what we got.
my recommended approach.
Our stickers May 1 through Labor Day?
Well, the old regulation was no dogs at all, anytime of
Right.
the day
Right,
Correct.
between May 15th and September 15th.
right.
I think that the last ordinance change, they wanted to allow them after a certain time.
Yes.
After
So if you
10.
want to change the dates, or you want to change the time to vote.
No,
Well, I think what we change is the line that says no dogs. You just put dogs are permitted from September 15th to May 15th.
But only between the hours of 10 a.m.
So no dogs between May 15th to September 15th.
So all you'd be
So now,
changing is the
so in
May.
the evening is okay.
yeah,
Yes.
May
Well,
15th.
what's on there
September.
now? What is the sign?
First
say?
of May to Labor Day.
First of May to
May
Labor Day.
1st through Labor Day?
Mhm.
Then leave it. Then you don't have to do anything.
Well, it does create the 2-week window on either end.
Well, let the
So-
county change theirs.
Yeah, okay.
we're different.
I just want to say this about this dog one. It's amazing how some people clean up after their dog. Because,
Or don't.
don't, because some people think cleaning up after the dog is putting a little sand over it.
So the kid coming along,
Walk
digging in
over
the
it,
sand.
or you walk, it's covered over and you step in it.
Well,
And
you can tell who's loaded for bear when they come onto the beach, that you can see they have their bag and they have their
Or they
leash.
don't.
and,
yeah,
Yeah,
They
they're
don't.
prepared to pick up their dog poop.
Right.
but it's really gross what some people do.
What's really gross. when you
Well,
go
that's
out
not
there-
limited to the beach.
I know that. I know that. But,
People
you
bury
know, I
diapers.
love dogs and I have them, but I would never do that. But some people, they think putting a little sand over it is the right thing, and it's not.
Agreed.
And I think if it should be said, there should be a fine to people that don't pick up or do those type of things.
It's back to
It is.
enforcement.
It
It's
is.
back to enforcement.
It's
Yeah.
written here.
Yeah, you gotta catch them.
You gotta catch them, you gotta enforce it.
Yeah.
Causes a problem.
Well, it's not a problem with dogs on the beach, it's people on the beach that don't have any sense.
Yeah.
Amen.
And the problem too is if they'll do that in a dog poop, you don't think they don't bury a dirty diaper? How many times you been to the beach and found a dirty diaper? And that's really bad. That's really bad.
The diaper will never go.
No.
So are we changing this to May 15th to September 15th?
And that's what the council would like. We can
Leave it the
do it.
way it is.
That's what we voted on was the first to the Labor Day, but I know where you want to do it to make it align with what's on the,
I think it'd just be easier for everybody if it aligned with our neighbors, which was what we claimed was our intent the first time.
Myrtle Beach is May 1st to Labor Day.
Is it?
Yeah.
What about,
I'm looking
Horry
at-
County.
I had a picture of their sign somewhere in my phone too.
Oh.
We'll find it. Myrtle Beach is May 1st to Labor Day.
yeah, but we
one
abut
of the
we
things, I
abut
got stopped. I was
Horry
talking
County.
May 2nd, 3rd, or whatever, and one of the police officers on the four-wheeler come up, said, I'm gonna have to write you a ticket. I said, for what? Started telling me about the dog. I said, well, for one, you can have them on the beach. He said, not with the ordinance. I said, you might want to call, check on that. And he did. He wrote up, wait a minute. And
Well, again, that's where we created the confusion by saying we wanted to do one thing and we did another.
but we did it between first and here, and he was thinking and it was whatever, 15th. So that's where
Right.
the
Because
crazy.
We
that's
just
what we
got-
said we wanted to do.
That was just mistraining. Whoever
Yeah.
trained them should have said, this is the date, and they gave the wrong date, so. I
Well,
mean,
the first ordinance, the police department had both written at the
Well-
top and one written wrong at the
You
bottom.
showed me that. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Had one
Yes,
written at
the
the top.
ordinance we
Yeah.
passed what had a conflict in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
And
way it
instead
was
of
written.
stopping,
You're right.
Instead of stopping, saying, wait a minute, that's where that came in. But if theirs is already the 1st to the 15th, and 1st to Labor Day, then
Well, but we need to worry about what is Horry County, because that's who we abut.
Yeah.
Not Myrtle Beach. We don't get anywhere near Myrtle
No.
Beach.
The county's got a lot of regulations on their side. Okay.
I just think we should be consistent with what's on either
May
side of
1st
us.
to Labor Day.
Okay,
No animals or bicycles allowed between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. May 1st to Labor Day.
So
okay,
that's what we've got.
Perfect.
So we're good.
that's what we got legal.
okay.
All right,
Perfect.
so the signs are correct now, right?
Well, it's to the best of my knowledge. yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to
And
know.
then somebody.
John and I went out and we looked at every single one because we wanted to make sure they were right. So
Good deal.
a couple of months ago, they were right.
Okay, cool, thanks. I believe you. Okay, my next comment is on 1272.
1272.
Nothing before that? And my only point here was, is this not something that we have in chapter 9? And since this is really not a beach thing, which is what we're talking about in this particular section, can we just delete this clause here altogether? I mean, I would just verify that this concept is included in chapter 9.
Yeah.
And then get rid of it here so as we're not creating a conflict in our own ordinances. So then 1273 becomes 72 and the sections 73 through 85 become reserved. 1287, hiring of boats. This seems to preclude the banana boat and jet skis that currently beach services provide by a franchise agreement. So we may want to add to the end of the first sentence, except by execution of a franchise agreement. Because we do certainly have boats, jet skis from the beach.
I agree with that.
You know, I've been here over a year now, and all the time I've gone down there, I've never seen jet skis out there for rent, because I'd have rented one. That'd have been cool.
You can rent one.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
there.
I've never, where did
Every
they
time
put it?
there's a sandwich board talking about parasailing at 3rd Avenue South,
I don't believe they rent their.
3rd or 4th.
Yeah, Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah,
I
they
will
do.
go and
You
check.
gotta
That
stand
would be,
within those 2 buildings.
I'll get in so much trouble, but I'm gonna do that.
Okay, and my next one is just a question, just surprised me. We do allow private launch at the 4th Avenue South crossover ramp. So I can take my own jet ski,
What
my
number is
own
that?
boat down to 4th Avenue South. And as long as I push it myself across the sand, I can launch it into the ocean. Is that what we're trying to say here?
Which number? I don't know.
1288.
I'd like to see you push a jet ski
I'm
over the
a-
sand.
I make Paul do it.
I'd like to see Paul drag a jet ski.
That's what they do. though.
Well, that's what they do. It's on
They
a
have
trailer.
They have a cart.
Well, you can do it.
Well, you
I
still
don't
do
know
a
why
cart.
you couldn't do it with a cart down there too. You just can't drive your vehicle down
Yeah, I'm saying I can
Wow.
bring my own down there on my own cart like they do and push it out there and launch it. That's what this says.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That-
reading. Yes, ma'am.
That's what we want. Okay.
Learn something new.
Okay, now, when we get to 1289, we introduce May 15th to September 15th.
Oh.
Now, this is a different topic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not dogs on the beach,
Yeah.
you know.
it's the,
Speaker system, but
I
Yeah,
mean, I think we have to check what we have in the franchise agreement with beach services on when they have access to the beach. But
Yeah. But if it doesn't state, then we should put it should all be the same. I agree.
And while it's not specifically stated here because it's talking about storage, and so forth on the beach, I just wanted to raise, for discussion purposes, if it's necessary, that during the season, they do quote, store the banana boat out in the ocean.
yeah.
And, we've had the
Tons of-
random person saying, oh, it obstructs my view. But, is that something, I mean, it's really outside of our
Yeah,
jurisdiction
I believe
to
it's in it.
regulate
Yeah.
anyway. I
I think
assume,
we
I
checked
assume
on
it's
it.
okay.
Yeah,
And,
it's probably in international waters because I've seen them gambling out there.
Well, it ain't,
Joke.
it ain't that far. I can still see it. It ain't that far.
I think DNR said that it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And they have the jurisdiction, we don't.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all my comments.
Well, it only took you an hour and 35 minutes. but We appreciate that.
But the document status, it was there.
You could have given it to me beforehand and I could have just talked to Robert about it.
Does anybody have any more comments or anything on the chapter 12 before we move on? Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is committees. And this is about the formation of our ad hoc committees. Number one is about the senior committee. We need to decide whether we're going to reestablish that or not have a senior committee or what we're going to do. So let's start a discussion on that.
Well, in looking at the resolution that created the senior committee in the first place, there's nothing, there's no content to this that legally establishes such committee. Because everything that stipulates what the committee will be is in the recitals of the resolution. There's nothing to be resolved. So I think if we choose to maintain the senior committee, we need a new resolution that's actually enforceable. But the question remains, with all the neighboring activities and the fact that what we use as our senior center is actually owned by Horry County,
Mhm.
the Horry County activities for the Department of Aging and some of the other organization that provides senior services. You know, Robert has been so kind as to take on the senior fair this last year. So is there really a purpose within our town for the senior committee? Or is it something that, you know, we can apply to the ever-growing list of Robert's responsibilities of, you know, just helping publish county activity, you know, they do senior tours. We've got a couple organizations within town, you know, the Sassy Seniors, the Coastal Carolina Ski Group does senior tours. You know, is there something here that we really need to continue to try to staff this committee?
I don't think so. Personal opinion, I think the county has it. I think there's a lot of other separate organizations. We haven't done it since I've been here, and even when there was some other folks on it. I mean, I was never briefed. There's never been any complaints on it not being there, so.
Well, I mean, if this says their purpose is to provide recommendations for, to promote senior involvement and participation, I've never heard of one.
Yeah, but when Robert's putting together these events and everything, he's looking at all of that stuff. So I think it's already being done.
Have you had anybody inquire on any of this? As far as in Surfside? None? So it's not needed as far as, you let the county handle it?
I haven't had anyone contact me about.
Not the application.
I'm getting old. I don't.
Participant either.
Yeah, they all got mad and left. I don't remember now why.
I mean, since then, we've not got any applications with people requesting to be on that.
Well, I do know at one time they painted the place. The county's done no maintenance.
Well, that's the old Horry County Library.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I know what it is.
Yeah, and they have done some landscaping on there, but that was in conjunction with Keep Surfside Beautiful.
I was gonna say
That helped
the county
with
didn't
that
do that.
landscaping.
House put a new roof on it too. County did.
And the one thing that they did every year on Valentine's
that?
Day is have the senior dance,
they had
which was here
I
in the
know
civic
that.
center.
But
But it was all closed down.
Yeah, but nobody inside Surfside was there.
They had room for 20 people for that, and then 20 people would, anybody who was a senior citizen couldn't go.
Well, I think if that's the case, I mean, I would say that on our next council meeting that we just have an agenda item to repeal resolution 12-125 and disband the ad hoc committee for the senior committee.
I'd like to get Gail to speak to us about it. She's the one that contacted me about an issue not too long ago. And she and one other person, they're still doing work up there. They're not part of, they were part of the original committee that quit. They didn't quit. They still do stuff.
But they're doing stuff on behalf of the county. The county Department of Aging still does programs in that building.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah. So if that facility is available and the county does programs, once we get our new webpage, it'll be very easy to also have the Department of Aging calendar for the South Strand. Because all you have to do is go into the Department of Aging webpage for the county, click on South Strand, and you get a full calendar of what's going on in that building.
Well, the one thing I do know they did, they paid to have somebody rake the leaves up. And I got contacted because somebody decided the leaves, you're here. Did they have an agreement that they put the leaves across the street that you will pick them up?
Yeah, that's the one location in town where I've given them dispensation from begging their leaves to just pile up and we'll pick it up because they don't have the volunteers and the county doesn't do a lot of that. So apparently somebody from the Harbor Light side didn't like the fact that they put them across the street, they put them back.
Yeah.
You know, some of them were bad. So we've made, there's some contacts over there, and hopefully that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, that's when I got called because somebody had put them back. And so I went over and moved them back across. But originally, these two people had paid to have the leaves raked.
Either have a landscape or something.
And so they paid somebody to do it. And that's the only involvement I know. I've never been involved with it at all, but it sounds like the county's not doing what they should be doing. Even
They've
though,
never done in that building, in the maintenance of what they should be doing.
right, that's what I,
Since I've been there.
Well, and that's just a matter if it gets to the point that it violates one of our code enforcement rules, for disrepair or whatever, then we send that letter to the county that says, hey, come out here, clean up your building.
Yeah, well, I have a copy of the original agreement with the county, and that can be terminated at some point in time. The town would never go that way. I doubt we'd ever want to go that way, but it's not an in perpetuity type of agreement. There's
Mhm.
problems, they need to be made aware of it.
Well, but I think it's just a matter of, what we do with the property, what services the county provides there. I mean, I have no idea what our agreement with the county says, but when we go back to what is the purpose of a senior committee, if we have enough activities in, between what the Department of Aging does and what the town may choose to do, like I said, the senior fair in the fire department and so forth, I don't know that we need a committee per se to coordinate those things.
Yeah, those won't go away.
So I would just propose that we put that on the agenda to disband that committee. And if Gail King wants to step up under public comments about the agenda and speak to it,
I'll contact her.
then so be it.
Or anybody else.
Yeah, or anybody else, correct.
And that way we will get maybe some public input from it.
And whether what they say sways our decision or not, that's the purpose.
That's the purpose of having it.
All right, next thing on here is the Surfside Beach Community Garden Program Committee.
Well, Michael, this is your gig, but
Oh, it's my gig?
first of all, I don't think it's a program. I think it should be just the community garden and what are the stipulations of who can use it?
Yep.
How often, or is it an in perpetuity kind of right to the plot, or does it have to be renewed every year?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of stipulations, I don't think. And then whether or not we form a committee to do those things, I don't think we want to get into the full, environmental education program thing that has been presented to us in the past, at least at this point. I mean, we've got a bulletin board. We
Yeah.
can always post all the environmental stuff you want,
Yeah.
but I don't think we want to make this something into a budget item.
No.
Well, in making the membership on it, has anybody filled out an application for consideration with the council to be on the garden committee?
Maybe.
Jerry's got some.
I've gotten a couple over the last couple of weeks, because something was posted saying that they were accepting applications, which I wasn't aware of that. So I have gotten, I believe, 3, but there was never, at one time, when we started it, it was to my understanding that the garden was gonna open, people to get plots, and then like in October, they get cleaned out, Jonathan put new dirt, whatever, when it comes time to restart in March. That's what I thought. Then it came up that, well, people want to garden through the winter.
Mhm.
So then it just kind of kept going on. So I think you need to make a decision of how you want that to be, so we can create a plan of how, because there was people at the end, there was people at the last one that didn't get plots. And I think that there should be a cutoff date, because then the next person will feel might be able to get in this time. Because we went from 18 plots to 22 to 25.
Right.
Because we had such an outpouring for it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if growing all year round is a good thing. I think it should be from, I'm not a gardener, so March to October or whatever, cut it off, let John, when it's time to start again, if he's got to put more dirt in, whatever he's got to do, get it cleaned up and let the applications come in again.
So everybody would have to apply every year?
Correct. I think that's fair because
Yeah, because
if
it's
you have
free.
people that say, I'm going to grow through the winter,
The people,
Is it first come, first served?
yes.
yes.
Yeah, because we
Just
didn't
like
have enough
before.
space, didn't have enough spots.
So you take the applications in the order in which they were given?
Yes.
That's how I did it last year. I put it, every time one came in, I put the next number. So if you look at the application, you know who number 24 is.
How much, how
And
much do you have
how
to
many
do
of
over
the
there?
plots that are out right now? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, how much are you having to do you see that you're gonna have to do over there?
It's minimal maintenance right now because they're being used. We cut the grass when the grass is growing and we make sure everything's in order, the
Right.
water's working, the compost bins
Right.
are doing what they have to do. But since we created it, it hasn't really been a maintenance problem.
Okay.
The biggest issue is like what Sherry was saying, it's an issue of, are there legacy rights that lost, forever, but other people are gonna have a chance to come in. That's the stories that I hear when I'm there. From
Okay.
people, when are they gonna open up, that somebody else can use that box?
Right.
And,
What I'm hearing is it's not only limited to Surfside people. I've heard that they've been some outside people outside of Surfside had applied or had got into the lot.
I've actually talked to some of the plot people over there. They have a plot, but their sister does it, and she lives in Deerfield.
Yeah.
I hear that there's some people in Oceanside that have plots over there. And I don't know how we should know whether they live in town to see, because if they have a water bill.
Absolutely. They ought to be
And
some way
anybody
to
that lives in this
verify
town
that,
has a water bill on their
to
trash
know
bill.
that they are town people who are using these plots.
They should
Not-
be.
We shouldn't be paying for Garden City, somebody to come up here.
Well, and I also think it should be not a first come, first serve, maybe a lottery type thing. You know, it's very easy to do a lottery with that.
I think a lottery would probably be
Is
better.
that really fair to
Because
somebody
first
that gets
come,
their
first served,
paperwork in
Everybody
at an
that's there.
appropriate
Yeah.
time
Let's,
versus somebody
are
who
we-
waits till the last day?
yeah, are we letting other people from outside of town do it?
No.
I didn't think we were.
What, and it might be just misunderstood. Some of the people, when they go on vacation, yes, they'll have their sister-in-law come and water and pick the vegetables or whatever. I don't think there's anybody, and usually they would call me and say, this person, give me the name, is gonna be checking on my plot. So I'm not necessarily sure that there's out-of-town people using our plot. I
Are
can't
you-
swear to it, but I don't think so.
Do you verify that when they put in an application for it, that person is a Surfside resident, or you just
Yes.
do it by
Yes.
application, whoever comes in?
No, they have to be a resident.
Or what if somebody has a plot and moves out of Surfside?
Well,
Do they get
that's,
to-
They relinquish their plot.
That's what I would think.
and some people have not used it the entire time, I've been told. And I had other people come and say, and they would talk to Laura and,
Yeah, if they're not using it the whole
Can I
time, then-
speak to that?
sure.
Because I have the roster, I'm on the committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
yeah.
Wait, come on up.
Sure.
So last fall, I did call everyone on the roster to say, would you be willing to give up your plot for the winter growing? And we had 2 or 3 that would, because they go out of town. And at that time, our hands were held as far as we didn't feel we had the authority to reach out to anyone who was interested in doing winter gardening. So there is an interest for winter gardening.
Yeah.
Currently, we are still gardening and harvesting broccoli.
Sorry.
have greens over.
Sorry.
Look
Yeah,
at greens.
greens.
I would like-
Yeah, so, and then we have plots that are just totally neglected, and the tomato plants and all the garbage is
Yes.
still in there.
Yes.
So it is an issue. I recommend we have some form of committee, whether it just be over what's the season, If you want control over application process and who has plots, and then the committee can implement information, just be there to answer questions. I don't think a town person needs to take on all that responsibility.
No, I think the applications and of course the council will make the guidelines. But, you know, like Laura comes to me and said, I'm there every day. And I'm like, oh, that's really great, watch and whatever. And a couple other people too. But all the applications should still come through us because we need to know if they're residents. Right.
Yeah.
And I think if we did a lottery twice a year, once for the winter season and once for the summer season, it would kind
What
of.
is that season?
Well,
It's
See, that's what I'm
gardening
saying,
by
you
the
guys
farmer's
have to
zone.
decide.
Well, it wouldn't, you could define the season.
Yeah, it's gardening by the farmer's almanac. You can look it up easily and
Yeah.
figure out your seasons.
But then it would be changing every year.
Yeah.
Like Cindy said.
Twice a year.
But it doesn't change that much. You can have a set date.
Well, but it's a lot of work for an individual
That's what I was coming up to say.
to establish their plot, only to find out, come, what is it, October 1st? Oh, I didn't win the lottery for my plot.
Well,
And now I've invested all that time and energy into creating the soil nutrients that, support what I'm gardening for. And now all of a sudden I'm booted out and maybe I might get one then next spring. But I have to start over because who knows what they did there. So I don't think we want to switch it out.
If I could make a few comments, since I'm an avid gardener, and I have both gardens at my house as well as at the community garden. The community garden plot was the easiest garden for veggies I've ever had ever, because someone else took care of the mowing around it and I didn't have to worry about it as much. And it was a social event. I went there and met up with a lot of townspeople I didn't otherwise know. And we got to talking about gardening and we took pictures, and Laura went and set up a website. So we were sharing information back and forth. So 2 points is really what I want to make. It is a lot of work for one person like Sherry to try to handle everything. All the questions, all the applications, whether or not there's coordination needed with maintenance, or to reach out to people when they aren't abiding by the garden club rules. So use us, the volunteers who want to come in and let her know, or what's going on there, how can we help, what can we do to facilitate getting into a smooth process of ensuring people get an opportunity to garden. There is a lot of interest, and it became very interesting to people once they saw things growing there and they saw individual plots with their cute little signs and their little structures for growing cucumbers and everything. The other good thing too is I would love to be able to bring the extra produce here at town council meetings and share, or to set up baskets there and have people who are walking by pick whatever is a surplus, while at the same time keeping my plot secured so that no one else goes in there and takes my tomatoes and everything that I've grown. So there are a few people that like winter gardening. And I think that as more people garden in the summer, they're going to want to garden in the winter because it is so easy down here. I have had the easiest time trying to grow stuff in the later months after the season of summer than I've ever had in Virginia when I was trying to grow broccoli and cabbage and other things like that. So that's a big advantage. It's a very evolving kind of area to be in. So I would wholeheartedly support continuing it. And to use us. If you want to set up a formal committee, we'll do that. If you want us to just work as Sherry's helper or somebody else's helper in the town government, we'll do that. Because I think we'll have plenty of volunteers either way.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
If you only had the lottery once a year, when would you have?
In the beginning of the year, around February.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, because I used to plant in February for for early spring. So my season ended in October, November, but
It's pretty much our people who are still gardening. Oh, sorry. People who are still gardening can clean out their boxes now with the winter harvest.
yeah.
So that's why we were starting to panic. Who's going to be handling the process? Do we start reaching out to current plot owners and say, you're okay for next year? Or no, we're going to do a lottery. And we wrote up a whole charter with steps and procedures. So we're biting at the bit to start implementing our process.
Yeah.
And we were, we had to hold back because we really had no authority to do
Yeah.
anything.
We looked at several charters in different states to get a really good idea on what was an easy but effective way of, and not cumbersome way of trying to maintain a community garden, because it's a community garden. And we may have gotten a little excited about maybe doing educational programs with little kids, plant a seed, and all of that can still happen, but it doesn't have to be in a charter.
Right.
We can work with the town, certainly. And then the other thing we tried very hard to do is try to be fair. How and what is the interest? Because there are some people who only want to grow their tomatoes, and once they're grown, that's it. They're done. They're not going to come back and do any more. While there's still 4 to 5 more months of being able to grow other things. My eggplants were growing and blooming, and Bob was giving them away as soon as he got.
They were delicious.
Do we have anybody sharing plots?
We think we do. I think there's a couple like moms and their daughters.
With my sister-in-law,
Yeah.
but they live in Surfside.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
know-
I'm, just saying, people just want to grow their tomatoes and they're done. Like, well, is somebody else using it with them?
No,
for
in
other
fact,
stuff.
when we ran across a couple plots like that, we tried to figure out who were they to find out if they wanted to give up their plots, because we knew Sherry had a waiting list.
Yeah.
So that maybe if they
That's-
told us yes,
That's kind of what I was getting to.
we would
Yeah.
go in and she could call them, or we would call them, or whatever.
Well, I don't have any problem. I mean, I think having the 5-member committee and taking over some of what Sherry's been doing as far as keeping the roster. I mean, she can still collect the applications and say, yeah, they live in town, yeah, they meet the requirements, and hand that over to the committee and say,
Here's this person with this lot number.
and here's the number on it or whatever, and say, okay, if you have an opening, it's up to you to assign that plot, just let me know it. And, she's out of the questions and everything else. I think undertaking as a charter, some of this educational stuff is a little elaborate, just from a committee perspective. I mean, if you want to have a kid's day at the garden, go for it. I mean, that's up to you and your membership. Who cares? That's not really a town thing.
Yeah.
I mean, go right ahead and do that. There's nothing precluding it. But, to say that's your charter, we expect you to do that, because then that means you're gonna come and ask for funds. And we're not gonna do that.
Well, understanding the funding issue brought us to the idea of possibly grants that are on, and most of the ones I've seen have been on environmental education, like the importance of composting and what is a plant blight. And
Well, and
stuff
again,
like that.
I would say work with Robert, and maybe there's a grant out there and we can do an environmental education series, do it as an event in town, use the fire department or, whatever. But don't just focus on, it's just, the community and the community garden, but maybe make it, one of these new town events that we're trying to promote. So
We had originally, we were originally going to charge people to have a plot. And then basically when Bill was looking into it and we were looking at other models, we found out that I think it was in Florida, because they charged for their plots, they were not eligible for any grants. So that's why these plots were given away for nothing, so that we would have grant opportunities. The problem is that we have nobody write the grants for us.
Mhm.
Me personally, I want to have y'all empowered to make those decisions. Because I think y'all are the ones there.
Be more specific, what is it?
Well, I mean, from the people, when you got people putting applications in, yes, Sherry can do the legwork and say, yes, this is that, and then turn it back up to y'all with y'all handling.
So
And-
are you saying, Michael, that if, because time is an essence
Yeah,
right now,
Right, right.
that if we put it out there on the Facebook page and on your website,
Right.
Town of Surfside, that we are holding a lottery for all 23 plots?
I'm not concerned with the lottery myself personally, unless
Or-
the whole council is.
Or you want to continue first come,
I mean,
first
when I
served?
say first served, because a lot of times people get involved in stuff and they're involved in it because their heart's in it and they love it and they love doing it and they put all their passion into what they're doing. And then all of a sudden to say, oh, no, you didn't win this time, you go. And then you're going to get somebody else who may come in one tomatoes or don't care about it. Then you're going to have an empty spot in the person who was doing a great job. Now you got to go back and try to get them to come back.
Well, do we know what other community gardens do, like the one over in Market Commons? As far as,
It
is it,
depends on, if there's a lot of interest, they may do a lottery, and it's a seasonal lottery. So you only have your plot from March or April through August for the hot weather period. And then they put in another lottery in September for the winter months, and that's it. So they're strictly within those short.
how many
periods.
do we have on our waiting list?
Right, that was my question.
Do you know,
Four, I
Sherry?
think. Well, we don't have any waiting now because some of the people have left and I think
It's
Laura,
the first season.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I got 3 applications and I think 2 of them are repeat.
Well, I think the first year, last year, you had up to 6 people right off the
In the
bat.
beginning.
Right
yes,
off the bat.
Yes, yes, yes.
That didn't have.
But we've accommodated them? through
There were more
people-
plots built
Yes.
from 16 or 18
It was
to
18
25. So more plots were built and
Okay.
then I think the others just went away.
Well,
Also
but again, I think this is something that, you know, we passed the resolution to formally establish the committee. And in the resolution, we give certain authority to the committee to evaluate, you know, is it becoming a roadblock that not everybody can avail themselves of the community garden because we've got so many people waiting? Well, then maybe we have to do you know, an annual lottery or maybe in every other year kind of lottery, depending on how many people we have waiting. But if we don't have anybody waiting, nobody expressing interest, then I don't want to throw out the guy that's having a great time and loves gardening and that's the only place they have. By all means, keep going.
You only really need a lottery if you have more than 25 applicants.
Yeah, and I think
And
that
at
would
the- At
be,
the opening season or at the opening of accepting applications, you will know that.
Also,
And
on
second-
the north
sorry.
side, also on the north side, there's a lot of people asking, why don't we have one on that side?
Well, that was going to be my next point.
And-
is We
and
always have a
That could
second.
take up some of
a
your
second
fill
garden.
on that side.
We ought to make it so that January 31st, everybody, all the plots have to be cleared out. And then, you know, and then after the plots
Unless
get
you're-
cleared out, then we basically have the people to express the interest, whether they still want their plot or not want their plot. And then we'll do an evaluation of them at that period. And any plots that we have available, then we'll put out for a lottery.
yeah, I think we definitely have to make sure everybody that currently is assigned a plot wants to keep it. If they don't, by all means, let's get new people in there, clearly. But, you know, I think until we are overburdened with people that want it, I would say if you have a plot and you want to keep it, then you're perfectly good to keep it.
Yeah.
But I think that's something we can write in the resolution that allows the committee to gauge when we have to change the way we manage the garden.
the
And
committee
that's a
will know.
recommendation that would then come back to council to modify the way we do it. And we would, you know, adapt the resolution to have a new mechanism.
And the committee members knows who's taking care of their garden,
Right,
who's not.
right. You know who's,
We know.
you know who's out there working, who's not. So
We take pictures.
but can you imagine you got some Miss Smith who's does everything and then she don't win the lottery?
Oh, I
I mean,
agree
that would
with
be
you.
terrible.
So,
That'd be
you know,
terrible. I don't like
that's
the
why
lottery.
We're asking for clarification.
Yes, I want y'all to have.
Don't get me wrong.
So
I don't
y'all
agree with
y'all
a lot.
thinking that it should be a lottery. not
Yeah.
first come, first served.
No, we're wanting to be flexible. If there are over 25 applicants, you can either do a first come, first serve and let the other people know you're on reserve for the next plot that's available and just wait it out. Or if you have like 50 applicants, then you probably want to have a lottery.
See, that's what
We're
I'm.
not going to know that.
And that's where you're going at,
That's
is
what
when
I'm
you have an
getting at.
excessive
If
number.
if there's only one or two people.
Yeah.
That don't have a plot, no,
Yeah.
you know, unless
Yeah.
you have somebody that really isn't taking care of theirs, but then you. kick
Because
them
there are also, some people only want to grow tomatoes,
Right.
but not the whole lot, the whole plot
Yes.
that's a 4x8 feet tomatoes. So we could get a second person to grow cucumbers on the other side or something.
But that would be up to y'all to find that person to
Right.
come in and
Right.
build that, maybe not up to Sherry to
Exactly.
be hunting somebody.
Sherry's
It'd be
not
up
the
to y'all.
one hunting them.
Yes, exactly.
You're managing
know.
Mhm.
the image of the garden. You're
We're
managing the
doing the
people.
day-to-day
everything.
and
Yeah,
the sharing and the, yeah,
Right.
and the double checkings and stuff.
that was my
Yeah.
goal. I mean, it's beautiful. Every time I ride by there, I say, boy, there's a lot of people in town that really.
We have all had a lot of fun growing our veggies. We've shared water time.
Mhm.
You know, if you're there watering and you go ahead and find out if other people need their plots watered, or you just go ahead and water them. There's been times when people have gone out of town for vacation and we end up cleaning up the walkways of any debris that comes out from, plant matter and putting it in the compost bin. Very convenient. I think the only controversy we had was parking in front of the gate. So that does need to be re-stipulated, I guess, because I don't agree in blocking the gate or being too close to the stop sign. And you should park in the parking lot and then make do from there. But, and the only other thing was people were showing up, coming in and actually stealing people's tomatoes and watermelons and
Yeah.
I would've
whatever,
done
that
that.
don't live here or that were in the
Honeydew
playground
combination.
and stuff. So, that's the only other thing that we had to deal with.
Everybody lets them walk around.
When is the time for John?
Wait,
Like
one
it-
at a time, please.
When
Can't
is the
hear.
time of John coming in and doing the maintenance or restocking dirt, or what time of year would that be?
We don't know. Yeah.
On request.
On request. So anytime that you all need to, if a bed gets low, John, you can call John and say, John, come on, bring me some dirt over here, and he's gonna come and do it.
Well,
Dirt-
ideally, we'd like to do it once a year.
Yeah,
I
dirt
know.
is not an
And
issue.
it's sitting there when they need it.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
sitting there. Dirt has not been an issue. We've been using the same dirt for the whole
Yeah,
season.
but it will go away.
Yeah. John's guys have worked really hard keeping that thing mowed
Yeah,
and keeping
good.
the dirt out,
Yeah.
the trash out. They've
Yeah,
done a
our-
really-
The beds are very good, they're manure based,
Mhm.
it's not stuff out of Scipio land, we went and bought it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Is there,
That's why it's been the easiest thing for me. because
I've
it's
heard the need on the other side for another plot. Now, I'll let these ladies here say if they've heard it and if John's able to do it, or if council's willing to do it
We have any property up north.
on the north side. to
There's
put one. Do
property
you
where
see
the
that?
tree was planted.
But
That
we're
could
not
be
going to
turned.
hear those complaints.
I mean,
Well-
you hear people say that, I wish there was one on my side of town over
Yeah.
here on the north side.
Have
I live
you?
on the north side.
Yes, I
here.
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live
I've
on
heard
the
that.
south
All right,
side.
I live on the
I'm
north.
not gonna hear that.
No, the things we've discussed is having a second plot, perhaps dedicated to people who just want to grow flowers. Because some people don't want to be in the community garden because they don't grow veggies. And they're upset when they hear you're supposed to grow veggies, not flowers. So
Right.
you plant both. You stick a plant in there that looks like a cucumber and then throw in some other things that are actually flowers. And they harvest their garden flowers and everything. So that was one idea, is we have a second plot that's just for gardeners who want to do flowers because they don't have enough, they don't have a balcony, they only have a balcony or it makes sense.
So y'all gonna
And-
take on that project too?
Well, that's, as a committee, that's what we were thinking, that we would scout out the town for other places if the demand is high. Talk about whether or not a garden with just flowers, talk about whether or not we
Well, they want a
should,
garden.
yeah, we should have plots.
A garden committee?
No.
No.
Beautification.
You know,
Anymore.
keep Surfside beautiful in a way, but not
Okay.
not
There used
exactly.
to be a Surfside Garden Club, but.
Garden
it went
club,
away.
it's not there anymore.
It's, yeah, it went
But, well, y'all taking over, I guess, is the garden.
Yeah, wrong terminology.
But, you know, is it another vegetable garden or is it gonna be a flower?
Oh, and I know the other one was if you try to grow watermelons,
Yeah.
you have the vines all, or cantaloupe, or any, you have
Yeah.
the vines growing everywhere and onto the walkway. So is it possible to reserve certain plots that would just be melons? And everybody put their melon seeds in there, and then that area was be reserved for melons or vines like that. Or another location for vines, I don't know, something that, these are ideas that we throw back and forth. We talk.
You had a committee you could discuss.
Yeah, that's what we
Well,
were
that's why
doing.
I'm trying to get this committee here.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
Well, I think the time is going to be of the essence. I think
Yes.
We need to, first of all, establish our resolution to form the committee itself. And then after we do that, task the committee with basically finding out who wants their plot, who doesn't want their plot, who lives in town, who doesn't live in town, and then doing an assessment. And we need to do all of that before the growing season, before the, probably March.
This time of year is when you plant your seeds and you put them in their pots for 2 months before you put them in the ground
Right.
to ensure the last signs of frost. So, yeah, this is prime period to do that.
So, do we need to wait till this resolution is passed until we reach out to current plot
My 2
owners
cents.
Now,
about this coming season?
it's my belief that we need to form the committee first, and we
Okay.
need to form the people that are on the committee first before we can task the committee with doing anything.
Okay.
So,
Do you have
Well,
enough?
we can pass the resolution on the 22nd,
right.
Mhm.
and we have applications for the committee already? Sure.
We have, I got 3, but I think 2 are
Are those plot applications or committee applications that you have?
for the garden.
Are they for the plot or for the committee?
Committee or?
Yeah, I don't want to say anybody's name, but it's somebody who's been gardening already.
Well, do they want to be on the committee or do they want to plot?
I think they want to plot.
Okay,
Same
that's different than a committee. Okay.
It's the same
Well, 'cause-
application as the garden, so I assume it's for a plot.
Because like you guys need to
Yeah, we need to apply.
do the formality of the
Right.
committee application,
Yes.
and whomever else wants to be on this 5-member committee.
Right.
So that also on the 22nd, we could feasibly pass the resolution and make the appointments to the committee
Yeah,
if Sherry's got that paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got all 5 names and
Yeah.
it's done.
Then by the 23rd, you're rocking and rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
And then y'all can get all the other growers in line.
Okay.
And if you got somebody who's not taking care of it, or they just off vacationing too much, or they're not there, and tell them, that Mr. Smith would like to have that, since y'all not here, and
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was our intention.
and be fair about it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then it keeps the council out of it, and keeps all the red tape down.
Now, Michael, will you work with Sherry to make sure the resolution's prepared with the right information?
Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'll play one on TV, but
You gonna make me do
I'm gonna
it?
let you do it, all
You
right?
gonna make me do it?
I stayed at the Holiday Inn.
I'm not a lawyer either, but
And Sherry, I think that.
I've played one for a
I
lot of
may
years.
call on you now, okay?
People who have a plot
I
right
used to
now.
work with lawyers. so-
and
Okay,
send
okay,
that
you help
by
me.
Nicole,
All right, you help me
see
with
if
that
they
one.
have a water bill in town. So that way we'll know if they're residents or not, and we can use that in the evaluation.
I only say that, Michael, because I want to go north next week.
Oh, you will go north next week? Okay.
I got baby
Call
to
me and
pick.
saying they ain't a resident, I'm gonna say, call Sherry.
Does anybody else have anything in reference to the community garden? We're good on that. Last one. The peer committee.
Needed,
Any discussion on this?
needed.
Well, I would say I just wrote this up, just spurious thoughts off the top of my head and filled in the form on information necessary to create the resolution. So These are just my thoughts.
Mhm.
Anybody else can add or subtract to them. But it's my thought that the committee was to look at the overall strategic vision and how we want to use our asset. You know, we've got the 3 separate retail spaces. We've got, you know, do we want kiosks? How many do we want? Do we want to build permanent shade structures over those kiosks? Do we want to put something down at the end that's more than just a shade structure for the fishermen? Do we want to make it an event? Do we want, you know, all these kind of things? What do we want it to be? Those are all the questions that need to go to the committee and let them hash out, vet out what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what costs money, what doesn't cost money, and then just bring those ideas to council for a yay or a nay. So,
You know, the other question that we come to is that we put down here that it's 5-member committee and the town residency is a requirement. But, you know, there are some specific things that would probably help us if we had some requirements on the membership, like, you know, in even with the A-tax, you say somebody has to be in the real estate, somebody has to be whatever. You know, we might want to choose some people that are on our peer committee that has some expertise when you talk about stuff like that, or somebody that has an expertise in retail, or somebody has some expertise in entertainment.
well, we can put town residency or a resident business owner.
What he was saying was so entertainment, in other words, somebody who's,
We define, we
somebody
define the
who's on
makeup.
TV all the time is entertainer, you know, does
5
local
people,
news or something.
5 people, you want one that does
Well, that-
retail, one
That
that
peer
does
committee has a whole
entertainment.
heck of a lot to do,
Yeah,
you know.
it's an entertainment business and everything all in one.
Well, but again, it's just making the recommendations that we want entertainment at the end of the pier. Then from there, that's up to the town to figure out how to implement that, enter whatever contracts, whether we go through Scott that, you know, Robert worked with for the Sunday, you know, things, or, you know,
And we've,
or do we lend that over to somebody that wants to manage an entertainment venue?
And
You know,
is-
that's another RFQ that can go out. We're looking for
Yeah.
somebody to manage an entertainment venue.
is
Is it
5
more than an
members-
entertainment venue? You know, those kind of things.
Is 5 members enough?
I thought it was plenty because you don't want to get too much confusion. I mean, this doesn't preclude anybody from going out and soliciting more input from other people. These are just people that get together to make the recommendation to council of what they see
The town.
is the best path forward.
And like any other committee, they should have some public meetings.
Mhm.
Citizens can come in and give their input.
and we'll write
Yeah.
these RFPs in such a way that people will be sending us what they would like to do. So that'll be easy for the committee, because then the committee can say, well, this fits all the goals and objectives the council have set, and it'll make money and it'll do all the things it's supposed to do. You know, be it using the pier as an entertainment event center, and who does it. So that's how, you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the draft, but it's 5. It's actually 5 requests for proposals. One's for retail, one's for snack bar, one's for ice cream, one's for vendor opportunities, and the other's for the pier, waterfront pier opportunity. So you're going to get all that stuff coming in.
So I guess we're gonna put out something, a request for members of that committee too.
Now,
That's good.
time is kind of the essence too.
Yes.
And so we should try and maybe do both.
And
Well,
we'll
all
need-
3 of these need to be on the agenda for the 22nd.
Yeah, they should be on the agenda.
Including nominations for the committee members. So should we advertise now about the committee, even though we haven't made a resolution to do the committee?
Well, I mean, we have a general agreement that we are going to pass the resolution
Sure.
based on, you know, it being formulated correctly. So
I think the quicker we can get people interested and
Yeah.
start applying for these positions, the better off we'll be.
I think we should definitely put something out, saying, looking for volunteers for, the peer committee and the
Need a liaison,
community
too.
garden committee and
Yeah, we need a council liaison too.
don't look at me when you say that.
No, you're gonna be busy with the business stuff.
I mean, this is sort of business stuff too. I mean, I can do this too. I don't have any objection to that, but if somebody else wants to be, I'm okay with that too, whatever.
I'd like to be the liaison for the peer committee.
Okay.
The only thing I have right now is keep Surfside beautiful. There's not a whole lot of,
It runs pretty well.
It does.
yeah.
Sort of like my committee. My committee runs really well.
Don't hold them back. Don't hold them back.
Yeah, put your name away. On my
Is there-
paper.
Is there anything else that we need to speak to? We've been through everything.
Sure. This Bill's got something.
Has everybody looked at the event application to see if
No, I'm gonna do that when I get home.
Yeah, what we did is we took several applications that several different cities used, and we kind of took the best of each of them and put it together, and at least that way it's already being tested by attorneys and all that good stuff.
I'm gonna read it for real when I get home. If I have anything, I'll just let Robert know.
From what we've talked
I'll try
about,
not to be persnickety.
from what we talked about before with you guys who met with the chamber and stuff.
Yes.
The chamber is gonna put our events on their calendar, right?
So I already sent them information on our events to put on their visitor beach calendar. This week, I updated the Visit Surfside Beach website with our events for that calendar. And I've been in communication with someone from there about creating some additional pages on the Visit Surfside Beach website.
Also, Zach Baker has been in contact with the chamber and they have established the local business networking's event will be March 22nd from 5 to 7. And they will be reaching out to all Surfside businesses to attend that. So we'll
Okay.
start getting some feedback on what
Where is it gonna be?
And it's
it's
not,
going to be at Neil and Pam's.
yeah, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, when they say all, it's not just members of the chamber, it's everybody.
Yes, it's
I think-
everybody.
Yeah, because you made that.
Now, yeah,
pretty
they're
clear.
gonna have their propaganda there about here's what, what you'll get by being a member of the chamber.
Oh,
Pay
yeah.
me $100. Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. But it's also an opportunity to get our business committee members in there and
FaceTime.
talking to the businesses that are not business committee members about what the town can do better for our businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the first of,
So do we have a mailing going out to all businesses or
The
all
cha-
people that have a business license in the town?
the chamber and Zach are working on getting that information out for.
And if they need names and addresses and all that good stuff, I can get it for them.
And did we ever figure out what the mass mailing is for the newsletter? Because that newsletter, the last newsletter that came out, half the people I've talked to have never seen it.
No.
So,
MailChimp died again.
well, MailChimp, there was some controversy during the last election about mailings and stuff put in the mailbox and everything. And I was told that you can go to the post office, not even put an address on it, and you can pay them X number of amount of money. And that if
They'll
you
put it
give
every
them
mail.
these, the mailman will put one in every single mailbox.
Right. No
Well, I
address.
mean, that would be
Yeah.
cheap for us. I don't know how much the cost is, but that would be a way for us to get the newsletter to people who don't have internet or don't have the ability to do it. So I think, and if we're only doing that once a quarter, that's 4 times a year. And
Well, and I think the new web page development will take care of a lot of those problems too.
but somebody needs to look into the cost of that to find out. And if it is,
I've been intending to, I apologize, I haven't gotten over there yet. You call a number and just kind of goes off to Columbia, so I gotta actually go this week.
okay.
Yeah, that did happen during the election.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that we're all done with everything. If I have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Those opposed,
There you go.
nobody.
Stay here.
Paul's gonna sleep over here.